That's really cool.
Isn't that cool?
Holy shit.
Like,
that's really cool.
That's not crazy or anything, but like pat ourselves on the back. Like, good for us.
Yeah, no. But like it's enough that like I feel like at least a random, like whatever random stranger you are, or random strangers, plural, that you don't know me or Corey, but you're listening, I love you more than anything. I think it's really cool. There's one of you, someone out here who, especially whoever listens to this now, whatever stranger is just listening to this, you are the coolest person ever for just randomly putting this on.
And you know how we would love you even more if you like shared this shit.
That's true. Yeah,
tell a
sharing it
friend.
would be helpful too.
Tell a friend who you think would enjoy listening to two unqualified doofuses talk about video games they like.
Emphasis on unqualified.
Yeah.
But we have great opinions, so we make each other laugh, and it will make you laugh too.
That's
the important part.
Our lowest episode was the news roundup. So like,
it's not terrible. I feel like news is always hard. I think the word news is cursed nowadays. It really is. I think we should say update next time. I think update sounds modern. It sounds video game.
We'll do it like the clickbait.
Patch notes.
You know how like when like YouTubers, when they have like some sort of like format change, they have like a dramatic thumbnail that's like serious update.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, oh my god, what's this about?
What's going on? I'm moving from my $3.2 million mansion to my $5.7 million mansion. Here's a tour on the next video, so you get more money. Like,
I have serious news. I'm getting a new microphone. I know. A seventh one.
I too, a seventh one. I too have serious news. We're in the middle of a podcast.
Oh, that is pretty serious. So,
welcome everyone to the end of an era.
The end of season 1. This is the big old season finale.
Serious update. End of season 1 is right now.
Right,
episode 14.
It's happening right now.
We did a little bit more than a baker's dozen for a season.
Yep.
You know, normally you're supposed to do like episode 13 is like the mid-season finale, and then it's supposed to continue. We said screw that. We're just gonna go episode 14. So it feels good.
14 episodes a season. That sounds all right to me.
It's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It took us a while. We need to update we need to be a little more frequent with these, but 14's good. I agree.
We can figure
it out. That's logistics stuff. But anyways, we're here. We don't have a lot of time to waste because as you guys know who have been listening, Ryan and I have been doing something called the homework game every week, where he assigned me Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. I assigned him Hollow Knight. Every episode, we have to play the homework game in between and then give updates each episode. We're both done. This is the season finale. We're doing a full-ass review of both of the games for you guys.
Both homework games. So we have finally completed it. We now get to talk about all of the ins and outs of each game, how we felt about, the story, the visuals, the experience overall. That's, I think, is the most important part. And we can kind of give her a genuine recommendation if we kind of want to pass the game on to you guys. Obviously, if you've already tried it out from us, that's really, really cool. But you can kind of get a full, complete feel of, how we thought about, the games in general. I feel it's like a little weird to say this, but I feel I have to throw a spoiler alert onto the thing if you generally want to play the game. Yeah, a spoiler alert. So, obviously, if you've already been listening in, we've been kind of spoiling little bits of it as we talk about the story. Exactly. But as a general note, if this is your first time listening to us on the Player Power podcast, spoiler alert for both games of Hollow Knight and Final Fantasy Tactics. I think Final Fantasy Tactics, you have no choice. The game is old, so you better not be mad. But anyways, still, regardless, spoiler alert, when you listen to this episode, we will be talking about, really, we're going to be summarizing the story in general. So we're going to give the beginning, middle, and end away.
We're going to be, the big part that's going to be spoilers is when we're talking about the story. So if we recommend, if you really don't want spoilers, maybe just put this episode to the side until later. Otherwise, if you just maybe don't want a little bit of spoilers, maybe just skip the story part. Because otherwise, we'll try to keep it relatively spoiler light, I guess.
Yeah, we'll keep it spoiler light. And yeah, you're right. I think until the story. So right before we get to that segment, we'll kind of say it again.
Yeah, we'll do it,
guys.
So
I was gonna say, but first we have to do the homework game.
No, we don't.
This is the entire homework
you
game,
ding-a-ling.
so we don't have to. I'm sorry. I'm just so used to it. I'm used to the format.
So the way that we did this, basically, we split it up into categories. We each are going to give our own personal rating. That's a score out of 10 for that category. Then we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about how we felt about it, maybe have suggestions if there's something we feel could be improved or something like that. And then at the end of each game, we're going to talk about, the homework person is going to talk about their experience playing it as their homework game, and then we're both going to give our own individual scores overall. And those overall scores are not going to be an average score. Did we decide? Are we doing a letter grade for that one, or are we doing?
I think I kind of want to give a letter grade for the final score. Right. I want to give it this is an A tier game. This is an S tier game.
We're doing S. I thought we were talking about school letter grades.
No. We're talking about gamer tier list. Okay,
right.
Which means there's an S tier.
A, B, C, D,
and then F.
And F. Okay.
Yeah, but I hope these two games are not. I don't think they're both F. So, but also we're not doing no Sonic bullshit of double S or triple S. We're just doing S, just S.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Sounds good.
So to go over what is gonna the categories that Corey was just talking about. So we've chopped up the game and into a couple different categories to kind of talk about. We have gameplay, story, the visual style, pretty much the artwork, music, the challenge/difficulty curve of the game, level of immersion. We have the pacing of the game, so kind of how just, if there's any slow parts or really, really quick parts or anything like that. The compelling factor, so if it kind of kept your attention while you were playing, especially in this situation for us, did you complete it just for the sake of completing the homework game because that's what we asked you to do? Or did you genuinely, did you want to complete it yourself, aside from the homework aspect of it?
Did it keep you hooked? Did it keep you playing?
Did it keep you hooked? Lastly, we have replayability, which obviously is just playing the game again, enjoying it if you want to, and then overall playthrough experience, which is going to be our final thing, kind of a letter grade. We're going to talk about the journey that we kind of went through playing the game, in general. But first, I think to start off, Corey did a really good job on writing little extra, a little additional info, a little extra tidbit thing about each game, and I kind of want to share that with you guys. And I think you should share the Final Fantasy one, and I should share Hollow Knight since it's the assigned game. So
okay, we'll start it off. Ahead. Do we want to do my homework game first, or do we want to do yours first? Because we're going to do one game in its entirety, all the categories, then we'll move on to the next one.
I'm down for you first, unless you want to go second.
No, I think we should. I'm good.
I think let's do Final Fantasy.
Let's do it. Alright guys, my homework game for this season was Final Fantasy Tactics: The War of the Lions. The genre, it's a turn-based tactical role-playing game, so a tactical RPG similar to something like Fire Emblem, if you guys have played that. Developed by TOSE and Square Enix, published by Square Enix, obviously Square Enix, that's who does all the Final Fantasy games. So
Square, good old Square.
Yes. It was released in the US October 9th of 2007 for the PSP. It was released on iOS, the version I played, in 2011, August 4th. But the thing about this game, Final Fantasy Tactics: War of the Lions, it is actually an updated remake of the game Final Fantasy Tactics for the PlayStation, which came out in 1997. The thing about War of the Lions, which is the updated version, is that it featured a few additional things. It featured 2 new classes, multiple quality of life improvements, as well as additional battles, some more side quests, optional playable characters, items, stuff like that. Stuff like that that you can expect from a remake of any RPG, not just a tactical RPG. But the two most notable differences between the War of the Lions version and the original version are that one, full motion video cutscenes for story moments with full voice acting in the English version were added. And that was one of my
really fucking cool.
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite things about the game, is that those cutscenes are just really cool. And I like the art style. We'll get to that later, but it just worked really well. And the other thing, which actually it was slightly controversial in like the original version or something, but the War of the Lions version, it's a retranslation of the more basic original English text to have more of like an early modern English style of speaking. So when this game was translated in the original version, it kind of didn't have as much of the subtlety that was written into the dialogue in the non-translated version, so like the Japanese version. So when they retranslated it for the War of the Lions version, they kind of went more for a time period appropriate style of speaking. So just so you guys know, this is like high fantasy medieval setting.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Yes. Very, very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, very Game of Thronesy. It's the best modern reference we can give you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we're actually going to get into that later, but they're more similar than you might think.
Yes, actually, yeah. And so what's an interesting fun fact, and I've talked about this throughout episodes of the Homework Game with Corey. But so, when I originally chose this game for him, I personally have played fully the original Final Fantasy Tactics. I actually have not fully beaten War of the Lions. And what was funny is I didn't know some of the big updates, like the cutscene thing. I actually didn't know about. So I remember, like in like one of the first episodes, or even when you Snapchatted me talking about it, you were like, "Dude, these cutscenes are so cool." Like, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Cutscenes?" I was like, "Do you mean the first little thing before you press start, like when you don't press anything?" And like, and now that I was also playing it on my phone because I had to know what these cutscenes were, and they do a fantastic job. So it's an interesting fun fact that I'm actually a lot more happy that you played this version now, knowing about it, even compared to the old one. So I think it's just super, super cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I definitely liked it too. All right. So the first things first, most important thing, in some people's opinion, about video games is the gameplay. So if you guys are familiar with tactical RPGs, it's almost like virtual chess or something like that. The way that it works is that you're basically looking down on like a 3D diorama almost of the battlefield. Each battle, you have a certain amount of units that you can send in, and you control the units turn by turn. So when it's this unit's turn, you can say, all right, I want to move this person over to this space. And then you can act, or you can defend, or you can wait. If you act, it's stuff like attack, or you can use your jobs skills and stuff like that. And you basically go back and forth like that with the enemy until most of the time the objective is you either kill everyone on the other side or you kill one person on the other side. Now, tactical RPGs, it requires a lot more strategic thinking. You really need to think about like what abilities your units have, what equipment your units have, and where you're positioning them, what your plan of attack is going to be. I don't have a ton of experience with tactical RPGs. This was one of my first ones, and it had a pretty steep learning curve, to be honest. And mainly, one of the reasons for that is that this game has a very robust job system. So it's a little complicated, to be honest, at first, because like you have experience, like every time you kill an opponent you get experience, and then that levels up your character, and your characters have individual levels, but also you have jobs, and you have job experience, and you have job levels. So it's like you can change jobs at any time as long as you meet the prerequisites to have that job. But it's like, say I'm a knight. If you're a knight, that means each job, it's a little complicated to explain. Each job has its own set of abilities that are unique to that job. And if you are that job currently, you have those abilities innately, automatically. Then you can also assign another set of abilities from a different job, but you unlock individual abilities within these jobs by leveling up these jobs. So it's like you need to get job experience to become a higher level in that job so that you can unlock certain abilities in that job, but then you can only use those abilities if you have those abilities assigned. So like the one for Knight is Arts of War. So say I learn like 5 different abilities in the Arts of War category. That's cool. When I'm a Knight, my set of abilities is Arts of War. So I will have those available to me when I go to Act. If I switch my job over to a Squire, my automatic job abilities that I have will change to those of a Squire. But I can also assign Arts of War as the second one, and then I can use those skills that I learned from when I was a Knight. So it's a really cool way of sort of customizing your units and deciding how you want them to be. Like, say I want this one to be a monk who's super powerful using physical stuff, but also he has a lot of MP, so maybe I'll also assign him some of my black magic skills that I learned from when he was a black mage. And it's really cool in concept, but my problem with it was that I feel like it did not teach me that great. And maybe I'm just a smooth-brained little baby boy, but like to be honest, it was a little bit to wrap my head around at first.
So I don't think you're a smooth-brained baby boy. Don't worry. So you actually explained it pretty well. Something that I usually explain it to make it a little bit easier for people to understand is that so every time your character acts, you get EXP, and then as you said, you get job EXP, or it's called JP. Honestly, just think of it as a currency to spend on skills within each job tree of what you pick. Mm-hmm. So in the example that Corey gave, as a Knight, you get the Arts of War, which what's cool with the Knight class is that they allow you to cut or rend or break either different stats of a character, breaking their different armor or their weapons. So it's it's kind of around like damaging or like debuffing a character down. And now you can once that character has learned those skills, as long as you assign them, it's kind of like real life, like a carpenter that becomes a painter would be very good at repairing his easel if it breaks, because he was also a carpenter at one point in his life, and he can use those skills. Which is kind of the idea behind that. I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people have the issue of if you haven't played a tactic-based game, because that type of format is not uncommon. The job system is definitely unique to Final Fantasy, where like a lot of people like Final Fantasy for that because of all the different jobs. And so I think it went hand in hand with a tactical-based game very well. But unfortunately, because it's a PlayStation 1 game original, and even with the updated version of War of the Lions, they don't do a good job at really teaching you. There's not a lot of tutorial. It's in a whole section, like you can read the whole tutorial thing. Exactly. It's very dry. It's super it's
like taking a class. It's like reading a textbook
exactly. Yeah. It really is. So what's nice about it is that the game in itself is very simple. It's almost like there's a very hot trend going on right now on the internet of everyone's playing chess. So I'm going to equate it, like we said, to chess. Yeah. It's very simple where if you didn't know anything about chess, you could pick up chess very quickly. You could play chess. You could figure out how all the pieces move and play it and finish a game of chess against somebody. But to actually optimize and learn and really get into the game, it becomes a huge deep type of game to really fully master all of these different, class combos and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. And, a little bit of we didn't even really get into is, like that aside from just like the abilities the character gets, there are these passive traits that the character gets that each class, I should say, gets as well. So, as a thief, you can get an ability that lets you move 2 more tiles. And you can take that ability and put it onto your character. Different kinds of abilities. Any job.
There's reactive abilities. There's like defensive abilities, and it's the same kind of thing. Yeah. You need to learn those by spending your job points from those jobs, but then you need to remember to, regardless of what class you are, regardless of what job you currently are, you need to remember to go into the menu, go to that character's menu, go to that character's abilities and then assign that ability to that specific, like, reactionary skill. And so that we basically just tipped, we scratched the tip of the iceberg on that. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, and so I think this is where it's going to be funny. I'm going to be interested to hear your score because, so personally, it's nice that we have a really good opposition to this because I've played a decent amount of tactic-based games and you have not. What I think is interesting is going to be, I'm curious to see how your score is overall because personally, my score will probably be higher because I think the game actually is, I think it's really good gameplay for the tactics-based genre that it is. But if you've never played those games and all the games that you're used to is like Mario 64, like it's weird, dude. It's like,
I guess let me just dive into it then. So I would say, as far as tactical RPG gameplay goes, whenever I was in the battle, I was in it. I was having fun thinking about where am I going to put this guy? What am I going to use? How far do I have to position myself? Even like right before you enter a battle. Oh, by the way, it's like it functions on a map, and each mission is like a little dot. So when you move to that dot, it's like you enter a battle. And then when you're preparing, you have like a little hypothetical grid of like, where do you want to place your units? And even right when I got to that, I was like, all right, a minute, like where my Rams is going to be like front left. And then I'm going to make sure I put my healer behind him because I don't want her to be too close to physical attacks. And then I'll put like my mage on the other side. So like that stuff and thinking about move to move, what am I going to do? What are they going to do? That was really, really cool. I find that stuff really fun. I like thinking about that stuff, especially when it works out. You just feel so satisfied. You feel like, hell yeah.
You feel like a war general.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, yes.
Like, hell yeah, I just did that. And the class stuff, the job stuff, to be honest, like, it just took a little too long for me to wrap my head around it. But once I did wrap my head around it, it was really cool. Like, I really liked it. But I do think it's a detriment that it was that difficult. It was, like you said, the tutorial stuff is there, but it's almost impossible because
it's not there.
Yeah, because you can't. There's too much information to possibly. That's not even counting like the amount of power that your weapons have versus like what your physical defense is versus like your magic evasion and shit like that.
So I was gonna say I think the funniest thing about me loving this game is that like actually looking at all of the stats of the units, there's still a couple things that I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Like I would have to hit select and read it just to double check. There's a lot.
So score wise, out of 10, can we do half? We can do half, right?
Yeah. Okay. Go for it.
Gameplay. I'm gonna say 8.
8 out of 10.
Going for an 8 out of 10.
So actually, funny enough, I actually personally put it at a 7 out of 10, which is really funny. So
I want to go lower.
My bit about it is, so I put 7 out of 10 because it's slow in the beginning, mostly. So this is from somebody that's played the game a lot. It's slow in the beginning because there's not many jobs, and the fights honestly become pretty basic in the very beginning because there's not a lot of depth to the classes yet. Really you only have in the very beginning. The way that the job system works is that it branches off out of 2 main classes. You have your Squire, which is like the start of your melee and your knight-esque classes. And then you have the Chemist, which is the start of your magic-based magician classes. And so as you level up those guys, it branches out into more jobs. So you get the knight or the archer or the white mage or the black mage, so on and so forth. As you upgrade those jobs, it branches out even more. And eventually you'll have to kind of double back and try different jobs. And, there's like an interesting recipe of to get a really high level job, you need to be level 6 in one job, level 4 in another job, level 2 in another job.
That was the other thing. They don't tell you what the fucking prerequisites are.
They don't. It's hidden. They're supposed. You're supposed to. It's supposed to be tricky. Like that. That was kind of the point. Is you're supposed to like really try to figure it all out, especially as a kid. Oh my god.
Sometimes that's okay, but when you have to fucking like to become a samurai, you have to like be like level 6 in like at least 3 different jobs. And it's like, How would I know? I don't know. If I hadn't looked it up, I wouldn't have gotten Ramza 2, a samurai.
I think that's the opinion of the modern day lazy gamer that knows that the answers are online. Like, what's actually so funny, when I was a kid growing up, I vividly remember my mom had a binder, an actual binder that she wrote all of these notes down about Final Fantasy Tactics. And the very first one was a horizontal job tree that she literally discovered. Essentially, she actually wrote every single thing down, figured out, wrote like all these little tallies for what levels all of her characters were to figure out what all the jobs were, and it was really cool.
That's rad, and that's a valid way to play games, especially back then. Like, you know, I'm a huge Zelda fan, so like it was literally part of the game. It said in the manual for the original Legend of Zelda, you should write your own map. You should draw out your own map, and that genuinely, that's a valid thing to do. And I get what you're saying, that that's the opinion of the lazy gamer, but I feel like that's why you don't see that anymore. There is something to that I just don't have the time to experiment like that, because maybe if this were a different kind of, maybe if this were just a regular RPG or JRPG, but this is a tactical RPG and it's mission based, and you're supposed to be following a storyline. So it's like, if you want to try and experiment and do that stuff, you have to cut it off and be like, I'm not going to advance at all. I just need to do a crap ton of missions over and over so that I can try it out.
Figure it out. Yeah. Yep. No, I get it. But yeah, so that's, and you know, again, and overall, it's one of the reasons why I gave it a 7 out of 10, because, you know, again, in the beginning, there's not many jobs, so you really don't get much choices, and the abilities you haven't unlocked yet. So a lot of it is just, I move here, I attack this, I wait my turn.
Yep.
But what's really cool about it is once you start to really, you know, once you get more jobs available, there's a lot of depth to the game. You know, on the flip side of that, though, what I don't like about some of the gameplay is that, and I think this is just kind of a flaw to it being an older game, is that some of the classes are really fleshed out, some of the classes aren't. So like the Black Mage has all of these different magic skills. They have fire, they have ice, they have lightning, they have death, poison, frog, all of this cool stuff.
Yeah.
Versus the Archer, for example, literally all of his skills are just charging.
Aim.
It's just you charge for, you aim. Yeah, you literally,
it's aim plus 5, aim plus 7, aim plus 20.
Exactly. And so like I personally don't like that. You know, I think that's a very lazy way for some of the classes have zero love compared to some of the other ones, especially the basic classes.
Yeah.
And also, you know, what is really cool about it, / it's funny because they're too powerful. There are also these special specific job classes from story-based units that you get. So later on in the game, a special Knight of the Holy Order joins your party. And if you keep that special Knight of the Holy Order,
Count Orlando.
Yes, Orlando.
He's nuts.
They have their own special abilities, you know, that's unique to only them. Some of the characters are top tier busted. They can literally 1v everything carry your team. Like every time their turn comes up, you're like, all right, I'm going to bop or kill 1 to 2 people. And they won't die because I'll be fine.
All right.
So yeah, that's why I give it a 7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 for Ryan, 8 out of 10 for Corey. So, next category, this is the story. And bear with me, guys. Before we did this, I went and painstakingly wrote out a story synopsis for this game, because this game has a pretty complex story. The story, to me, is one of the strongest aspects of it. Because, and we said this before, that this might share more similarities to Game of Thrones than you think. This game was inspired in part by the part of English history known as the War of the Roses, which is...
also, we're going to stop right here. Spoiler alert to everyone that's listening. If you do not want spoilers on the actual story, this is the spoilery part, so just warning you. Go ahead.
I'm going to synopsize the whole thing. And that's, for those of you that don't know, the War of the Roses is the exact same thing that Game of Thrones was based on. So, and bear with me, this is going to be a little bit long. I condensed it as small as I possibly could, but I'm going to blaze through it real quick. Recounted by a scholar through the Darai Papers, Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions follows the story of Ramza Beolv, an honorable, noble-born young man, and his common-born best friend raised alongside him, Delita. Upon Delita's sister being murdered through political strife and uprisings during their days as cadets in the Order of the Northern Sky, that's an army, Delita goes off on his own, and Ramza does as well, abandoning his nobility and joining a mercenary group. Both seek out to root out the corruption and power hunger in Ivalice, that's where this takes place, though each has different methods. The main story of the game revolves around the War of the Lions. War of the Roses, War of the Lions, very similar. A civil war in Ivalice in which the Order of the Northern Sky, led by Duke Larg and supported by Ramza's family, House Beowulf, is pitted against the Order of the Southern Sky, led by Duke Goltana. The two orders each have someone being used as a pawn that has a legitimate claim to the throne. Prince Orinus for the Northern Sky, and Prince Ovelia for the Southern. If you guys know the War of the Roses, you're probably starting to see the comparisons. Throughout his journey, Ramza discovers that the Church of Ivalice is pulling the strings behind the scenes, pitting the two armies against each other, and is collecting an ancient artifact known as the Auracite. That's the MacGuffin for this game. They're like little spheres, in order to eventually take out both armies and consolidate power. The Auracite are known for their role in the Legend of the Zodiac Braves, in which 12 knights, led by a holy man called Saint Ajora, used the Auracite to take down an ancient demon, the Master of the Lucavi. The Auracite, however, is far more sinister than originally thought, and turns people into demons, who Ramza and party have to face and defeat in order to reclaim the Auracite so that it can't be used for evil by the church. Along the way, Ramza's sister is kidnapped by the Knights Templar, they're the Knights of the Church, who plan to use her to resurrect the Master of the Lucavi, to do their bidding or some shit. They're nuts. Let's go, church people. This Master of the Lucavi actually turns out to be Saint Ajora himself, which means the legend is false. Saint Ajora wasn't a holy man at all, but was actually using the Auracite for himself to try and take down the empire of his day. Ramza is victorious against him and the Knights Templar, and saves his sister, also ending the War of the Lions in the process through other events. Meanwhile, throughout, Delita, who is working for the church for his own ambitions, he doesn't want to revive demons and shit, but he's working with them to serve his own purposes. He is put by them as an undercover plant in the Order of the Southern Sky. While he's there, he grows close to Princess Ovelia, who is told by Goltana that she's not actually a legitimate princess, but a lowborn swapped with the real princess at birth. Naturally, that rattles her. Also, interestingly, that's actually never fully verified in the game, whether or not that's true, but it's kind of assumed that it's true based on context clues or whatever. We get a very nice cutscene between the two of them, Delita and Ovelia, where he says that he wishes to create a new world for her to rule, to eliminate all the corruption in Ivalice so that she can rule and be fair to commoners and lowborn people, so that they may never again be used as a pawn in a corrupt man's game for power, just like himself, just like Ovelia, and just like his sister Tietra, who died in Chapter 1 of this game. Delita meets up and cooperates with Ramza on multiple occasions. They're friendly somewhat, but the two don't fully see eye to eye. They have different means to their ends, and they've never fully reconnected after what happened with Delita's sister. Delita eventually works his way up in the ranks of the Southern Sky, eventually assassinating Duke Goltana, the head of the Southern Sky, and at the end of the war, he marries Princess Ovelia and makes himself king of Ivalice. Through all of this manipulation and stuff, he ends up being the king, married to Princess Ovelia. As Ramza, throughout the game, obviously fighting the church, he was labeled a heretic by the church, naturally. So at the end of the game, the church is still standing. He's labeled a heretic, so his role in ending the War of the Lions was totally forgotten, and all of the credit was given to Delita, who, to be fair, did some shit, but Ramza was kind of the body that stopped ancient demons from being revived and taking over the world.
Actually saved the entire humanity. Yeah. All of humanity.
Oran Durai, who I don't have enough time to mention who he is, He writes the truth about the events in writings called the Durai Papers, the same papers that the historian in the beginning of the game is recounting the events of this game from. But he's burned at the stake for it because it says a lot of bad stuff about the church. So the papers are lost to history, as is Ramza's role as the hero. That is, of course, until the scholar from the beginning of the game finds the papers and reads them to us. The last cutscene in the game, I don't remember how long it is later, but it's later. Delita's king. It's Ovelia's birthday. Ovelia, out of hatred for being used as a stepping stone by Delita to become king, and out of hatred for Delita in general for just using so many people along the way, stabs him. And Delita, in retaliation, takes the knife out and murders her. Then he looks at the sky and wonders aloud where Ramza might be, and which one of them truly got what they wanted in the end. Now,
masterful.
This is
great storytelling.
This is a rad story. It's very fucking cool. And I think it's important to mention that it is based on The War of the Roses, because one of the biggest detriments of this story is that it is so fucking complicated. That write-up... That write-up was like a page long at 10-point font. That is the smallest I could possibly get it. I did not mention Fulmarv. I didn't mention Ygraf. I didn't mention Cardinal Delacroix. I didn't mention friggin' Marquise Elmdor. I didn't mention your goddamn father. I didn't mention your brothers.
At all.
These are key players in this story, and I did not mention them at all. That's how complicated and complex. If anyone here has watched Game of Thrones or anything that's like high fantasy like that with a lot of characters like Lord of the Rings or something like that, and thought, too many names, too many people, I don't like it, don't play this game. Because it is very much
fair.
that.
Very fair.
I happen to love that shit. And even though this confused me, definitely at some points, and that partially has to do with how I played the game, but we'll get back to that later, I still thought the story was wicked cool. Really cool. Really well done. Not only is it just really cool setting wise, and like it's got that house versus house like crazy power struggle, like people getting murdered, like huge power moves happening. That stuff is all super cool, and that's what I love about Game of Thrones. But also, there's a lot of really cool thematic stuff at play here too. There's a lot of like deep dialogue about like the disparity between like the lowborn class and nobles, and like corruption and power hunger in a civilized nation. And also, one of the really cool themes that kind of goes throughout, that gets repeated a couple times, is how those in power influence history. And I think that's super interesting that it seems unnecessary that this game was framed through a historian recounting these events through papers that he discovers. But that is so fucking cool, because Ramza's the true hero of the story, but of course, because of all the enemies made along the way, that true story couldn't come to light. That's also reflected in, remember how I said Saint Ajora turned out to be like a really bad guy? He turned out to be like the demon master. There's an item in the game that you get called the Scriptures of Germanique, which are required to open like the hell area that you fight him in. The Scriptures of Germanique were written by someone called Germanique, who revealed that Ajora was using the Aura Site to take down the Empire of the Day. So that's another instance of history of these ancient texts telling the truth about what actually happened, but because they were hidden, that truth didn't come to light. Because of the church. Because the church held Ajora as this like holy being. That stuff I just think is really cool.
I agree. So I 100% agree with everything you just said. That's like the coolest thing about this game is how intricate and deep, and like it really has very, honestly, like hot topic real world
big time
concepts. Like they, again, there's like obviously I don't even know, none of us do, but there are probably so many, history is only written by the people that, like history is written by the victors, as people say. My
God, as citizens of the U.S., that cannot be more true. There's no way.
It cannot be more true right now.
It's crazy.
See, and actually, what's funny too is that there's a quote that's been going around from Final Fantasy Tactics that people randomly talk about that I love. That is made from a character that we actually didn't even get to talk about in the game. He's kind of a little minor. One of the characters that Corey was saying we didn't have time to mention, but he actually says in the game, if the penalty for a crime is a fine, then that law exists only for the lower class. So there's a really common theme in the story of the nobility and the common people, because it's especially high fantasy stuff. There's always that, the rich houses pave the way for their power and blood of the poor. And that's always been a common thing in a lot of high fantasy stories. You see it a lot in Game of Thrones, obviously, and you see it a lot in this game. And they do a really cool job, especially as the two main people you follow, Ramza mostly, and then his best friend Delita, who is a common-born man. You see these really interesting perspectives. Delita, for example, has always been so jealous of his best friend Ramza because he was highborn, and Delita was kind of given a little taste of the highborn noble life being Ramza's friend, but was also still treated very poorly, was still, beaten down for being poor. And he's always wanted to have his time. He's like, all the nobles are bad. I'm a good person. I should, people like me should be the ones that have the power and control. The world would be better if the poor ran the world and, nobility burned and they were gone.
And that's interesting too, is that like when they split up, basically, because what happens is Tietra, his sister, gets killed at the hands of your own brother. Pretty much. Your brother authorizes the kill. And you and Delita are both like, what the fuck? Delita's heartbroken. Basically, after the battle, every shit explodes, right? And then you guys basically just go your separate ways. But then once you meet up and you start sort of seeing how each character is handling the War of the Lions and the build up to it, you start to see the means. They have similar ends. They want to take out the corruption, but the means are totally different. Ramza's idea, because he's a noble born, he thinks it should be handled in a noble fashion, where you just upright stand up to that and say, no, you can't do that, so I'm going to fight you. Delita, on the other hand, thinks, let me play their game then. If this is how they're going to do it, let me play their game.
I'll fight fire with fire. Yeah.
But this is my big swing for this shit. And this is another thing that this game has in common with Game of Thrones. And I'm going to spoil Game of Thrones big time here for those of you that haven't watched Game of Thrones. If you are planning on watching it and don't know what happens in the end, skip ahead a few minutes. This game has what I like to call the Daenerys problem. In Game of Thrones, Daenerys has a legitimate claim to the throne, or at least she has a legitimate reason to want to avenge her father and go back to Westeros and take the throne back. She gets sold into slavery in Essos. While she's there, her brother is still saying, fuck these guys, let's go back there and take the throne from them. And eventually, she authorizes him being killed, and her being sold into slavery, she hates it. But she gets the gears churning in her head, and she's thinking, you know what? I'm going to amass my power. She eventually gets the Dothraki on her side. She finds out she's the mother of dragons, and she gets dragons on her side. She gets the Unsullied on her side. She gets all this power in Essos. Instead of going back to Westeros and immediately just being like, fuck you bitches, I want the throne back for my family, she decides out of the goodness of her heart to wage a campaign on basically the whole fucking continent of Essos, on Slaver's Bay, to go from city to city, freeing the slaves, because she believes that lowborn people are still good people and no one should be sold into slavery like that. She despises the noble people that are putting those people into those positions and pushing them down and ostracizing them, and she decides that's what's important to me. I'm a person fighting for the people. I need to go around. The Westeros can wait. The throne can wait. I need to make sure that everyone is okay here. I need to make sure that people have their freedoms, because I've experienced that and it fucking sucks. So then what happens? At the end of the show, Daenerys, while she's finally in King's Landing and she's in a position where she can take the throne back, she decides, I'm going to murder all of these lowborn people. I'm going to murder all these peasants. I'm going to burn thousands of innocent people with my dragons because fuck them. Because they worshipped these assholes and because they need to fear me and I need to strike fear in everyone's hearts. I'm not saying that's inherently a bad thing. And this isn't a Game of Thrones rant. I think that could have been pulled off fine. I feel like when George R.R. Martin finally writes these fucking books, he's going to have a convincing descent into madness for Daenerys. So when that happens in the end, the reader is going to be like, I don't like that, but it makes sense. People hated that in the show because it didn't make sense. It seemed like the flip of a switch. Here we have Delita Hyrule, who the whole fucking game, at least for me, at least from what I was getting, and I might not be the sharpest crayon in the box, and maybe I didn't pay 100% attention to literally every single thing, but I read the dialogue, I was paying attention. The whole game, I was thinking, yeah, Delita, he's doing this for the lowborn people. He's got good reasons. I was rooting for Delita more than I was rooting for Ramza. And then at the end, you're trying to tell me that Delita was just in this to be king? I don't know, man.
Yes.
I don't buy it. I don't buy it.
So what I personally like a lot about the ending, and you were not wrong, a lot of people are very, very annoyed about the people don't like the ending because it feels very abrupt, especially because it's like a little bit of a time skip. So like there's a lot that could be, left unsaid about Delita doing what he did. But again, going back to the duality of the two main characters of Ramza being a highborn, Delita being a lowborn. What I really like about it is that Ramza was genuinely a good person. He wanted to do what was right and fight and save, protect everybody. He did not want evil things to happen. And that's kind of why, that's the approach he takes. He threw away everything he had. He threw away his noble rights to, ruling this house, he becomes a common man to save the world because he knew it was genuinely wrong. And Delita, what you notice if you read a lot of the text, Delita was very bitter from the very beginning towards anybody that was noble. And, even Ramza's brothers, because they, mostly because, to be fair, they said shit, like, they would just, like, call him, like, literally, like, a lowborn dog. That was, like, literally, they throw the word lowborn dog at you a lot, which is, like, that's just, like, a rough way to say it.
Yeah.
But Delita tried to be as good of a person as he could be, especially being with Ramza. He always, he admired Ramza, who was his best friend. They both together wanted to do no wrong, especially when they first meet the Argus or Argath, this random character that's
who kills Teatri.
That's who kills Delita's sister. They both agree to save Argath in the beginning in one of your first missions because they agree, they want to do what's right. But for Delita, he's the man that every time he's trying to be as good as he can, he always gets stepped on. Something happens that makes him hate the world and hate the noble people more. And obviously the thing that does it in for him is when the man that he saves ends up murdering
his
sister. And the reason why he does it is because that character is trying to gain the favor of a noble house because it's all about the noble politics still. And his sister is the most valued person to him, who also was kind of lived with nobility. It was almost like a fake noble girl, essentially.
Same thing. Same as Delita. She was raised with them. She was,
Exactly. She was thrown away at a moment's notice because it advanced the plans of Ramza's brother. The noble people. And I think that is what did it in for Delita, where all it was this lust and thirst for revenge and this wanting of power, because he's always wanted the power in the end. And that's what I like. I like that he actually doesn't become Ramza. Like, again, the duality of it I like a lot. It stinks because a lot of people like Delita, but I like the inherent flaw that he had, because Ramza is your good, pure character. You can't have two of them doing opposite things in the end and both be good, pure people. I do think it's super rushed. It stinks that Ovelia... It stinks that Ovelia also, because Delita is the only one that actually showed her kindness, to be fair. And then, I get it, because obviously he becomes king now, and so she probably feels used, but, I think she also probably should have realized that, he still was her best future. But
so,
anyways,
that's why I equate it to the Daenerys problem, because it's very similar.
Yeah.
If I read the books, the Game of Thrones books, like, and there was all that detail leading to a descent into madness for Daenerys, I feel like I would come out of it being like, okay, that makes sense. Even with Delita, I totally get what you're saying. I feel like there is enough there where that case could be made, and that's so fascinating, but I just feel like there wasn't enough. I don't know. Was I just, like, not paying attention? Because, like, I felt like there just wasn't enough in the times that we see Delita where that hints to him wanting power for himself, ever. Like, because he never... Whenever... Hear me out, because in the scene where you meet up in Chapter 2, when he's basically saying... He makes some sort of weird river metaphor. He's like, shit's flowing like a river. And, like, he basically says, stay out of it because there are bigger things at play here. There are things you don't understand about this. Basically implying that this is all for the big picture. So why does it become an individualist thing for him?
Well, so I feel after he... So if you know... Throughout the later stages of the game, chapters 2, 3, and 4, and you're starting to get into the actual plot of not really the houses fighting, but it's you stopping the church from reviving this horrible demon. You kind of realize, or like, Delita keeps running into Ramza, and Ramza keeps obviously trying to save the day and stopping all this from happening. And I think, you know, Delita, it even comes to the point where he literally is so bullheaded, he says, I know I'm being used, but I'm still going to do this I'm going to still, do it my way from their side, kind of thing. And he, like, knows the side that he's on is evil. Like, he's like I know what's happening.
Yeah, but like, but even then, he kills a fake Orlando and conspires with Ramza to let him take the real Orlando so that they can go actually fight the church.
So let me finish. So I think after seeing Ramza, try to do the good thing, I think that eventually starts to break him through. And I think once, like, what you have to remember is, like, when he becomes king, it's right after everything's done and over. So there's, like, like, that objective is complete. So I feel like his ending is after the righteous part of it. It's not like he's also going to fade off and ride off into the sunset like Ramza does, to be never to return again. Because, also Ramza being labeled a heretic, they need somebody to try to make the world good again, somebody to lead. And so I feel like it almost falls on his shoulders, and it does kind of become, he definitely is probably doing it for personal gain, but I feel he was also trying to do it to, he's a lowborn that now is raised and actually gotten what he's always wanted, as a man.
It's irresistible.
That highborn noble power. Exactly. It's still irresistible. I think it also shows, the history repeating itself thing of how, the sacred text that shows that Ajora is evil was burnt and hidden away for the power. Ajora obviously hid it away to keep his power. Just as the church burned the Orient papers or the Durai papers to try to hide all the evil that they did during Ramses' time to keep their power. And I think it's just that power corrupts kind of thing where even though Delita was such a good person by the very end and did all these good things, he still ends up, kind of being the next, like, the repeating cog in the wheel.
What's that saying? It's like absolute power corrupts absolutely or something.
Yeah, absolute power corrupts absolutely. I would say those don't learn from history.
So so this was long-winded. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
That's exactly what I would give it as well. As a 9.
To be honest, the Delita thing knocked it down a little bit for me, but I still totally...
I don't know. I still totally get... There's enough there where that could have been convincing for me. I just feel... And I like what they did, I just feel like I wish they did it a slightly different way.
I think you need a Mossbag level video of the lore to watch, and I think you'd be like...
Well, no, but that's the problem, is that I looked for that stuff, and I didn't... I don't know. All right. Well, let's move on, though, because that took a while, and we got a lot to get through.
We have a lot to get through. This is a rough podcast.
Okay.
Not gonna lie.
So these next two should go relatively quickly. Next one is visual style. I liked the visual style. It didn't blow me away.
It's for anyone who's played any sort of like
high fantasy, medieval kind of game. It's got that aesthetic, but the style of it, like the characters, that's kind of what I like the most. Is that the characters almost have this like
chibi-esque quality to them.
Like they all kind of have hands that are a little bit too big for their bodies, and like they have like very cartoonish faces with kind of like big long eyes and like not really any pronounced noses. I like that, but also at the same time a lot of the characters kind of look similar. Like Ygraf and Folmarv are basically the same person with different hair, and like it's and there's a lot of tan because it's like the map screen is as if you're looking at a real like old map, so it's all tan and all the menus are all tan, and like the
sounds like you just don't like tan.
Well, I mean, not too much tan. Tan is a color that I can only take in small doses, my friend.
My God.
But
tan's just right now.
I think visually the best part of it is the cutscenes. For me. So that's why I'm glad I played this version.
Good. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did too. Personally, so this is definitely a little bit deferring. This is highly based on the nostalgia of this game for me. But this actually is probably one of my favorite sprite styles. Actually,
it does have good sprite work. Yeah.
Artwork aside, the actual art, like I agree. I think especially when you see the person talking in the text bubble, they really do have very similarly drawn faces, and I think it's kind of like almost like an anime approach.
Yeah.
Like a chibi style, like you said. But personally, the sprites, which to me, like the visual style in the category, I think of the majority of what you're looking at, which is the fighting of the game. And so the actual animation and visual sprites of the people slashing, shooting, the magic is actually really, really good. The summons look really good for a PlayStation 1 game. They look nuts. It has that really cool Final Fantasy, like when you're a kid, like your eyes open up. You're like, holy shit, I just did that to this dude. Like I just literally like a freaking demon is hovering over the map and it crashes down with fire and earth. Like it was really cool. So like I really like that, and the cutscenes made it that much better, which I really liked a lot. But especially for PlayStation 1 standards, which is what I put it at, I think a lot of the actual animations of the sprites were very, very crisp. I think I agree that the look of some of the characters kind of gets reused because they have that like Fall Guys look almost.
Oh, that's like, so accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Fall Guys look, guys. That's what I'll tell you. It's like a Fall Guys, like a Ness Lucas Fall Guys eyes is like what all of them have, and they have no nose.
All right. So I would.
But so personally, I give it a 10 out of 10. But that's a nostalgic 10 out of 10. So actually, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. I think a nostalgia cannot push the last half point for anything. To be honest with you,
I'm thinking.
You can go lower.
I'm thinking 7.5.
7.5.
I think it looks. The problem is like I can't. There's nothing that looks bad in this game, but there's a lot of stuff that looks samey, and a lot of stuff that doesn't. Nothing blows me away. Like even the best designed settings, like battle settings, where it's like a waterfall. It's just like that's cool. It looks like a waterfall. But it's
fair.
Not like whoa, look at this crazy insane architecture. It's like whoa, look at that waterfall. Yeah, so I'd say 7.5. Fair enough.
Okay, how do you feel about the music?
So it's kind of, to be honest, it's a little bit generic high fantasy. There's not again, and also I feel like I was kind of. I pay attention to music a lot in video games just in general, and I feel like I was at a disadvantage because I was playing on my phone. And
so you did not hear a lot.
Sometimes that's when I do feel like a lot of music gets repeated in this game, like a lot.
So yes, I was gonna say they're really Final Fantasy is known for their music and their composition of it, and so it's nice that they kept the orchestra of Final Fantasy into the game. Like a lot of there actually is a lot of instruments in the game, but you're right, they actually did not. I think I don't remember actual facts about it, but they did not have a lot of either money or budget for a lot of the music. So like the pretty much same exact There's like a song for when Ramza is meeting up with somebody in a friendly
and then
manner.
There's the same tune for getting ready for a battle, same tune for a battle.
Yeah.
Same tune for the map screen.
Yeah.
So like
so the only difference is like the main encounters have different themes.
Yeah.
Like but it's but also like when you play if you grind Medallia Plains 6 times in a row because you're traveling back and forth, you'll hear the same song over and over. Yeah. So,
all right, so
I mean, I could also argue that for Pokemon, but it's
what?
Did
you say Pokemon has?
Hold on. So what'd you put as the
Pokemon has fantastic music.
What'd you put for
I'm
your
gonna
score?
Go for a 6.
Going for a 6. Okay, that's actually totally fine. I personally put it. I think I put a 7. Did I do 7? Let's make sure. I did a 7.
All right, 6 and a 7, right around the same ballpark.
Yeah, just about. We're pretty even so far.
Okay, so challenge and difficulty curve.
Because
of, I'm not gonna rank this one super high, and that's mainly because of the job class stuff. Like the actual battle. Well,
you know what? Even when I was kind of getting the hang of it,
there were some very intense difficulty.
I wasn't getting the hang of it. Yeah. There's
that's
some
what I mean.
Big ass execution.
The ease of entry is not. It's not easy.
The skill, like it's a very high level that you need to like sort of start playing at almost right from the beginning. You can get through the first few missions, maybe most of chapter 1, but once you get into especially like the end of chapter 1 and chapter 2, it's like you got to know how to play this game. And I got to a point where and I said this to you, I think. I don't know if I said it on the homework game, but I said it to you. I was like, am I playing this game right? Like, I just didn't know, like, should I have been unlocking more classes so far? And that's something where it's like,
they don't tell you what you need to unlock the classes.
I was struggling with comprehending the JP, and I think the big thing in my head was like, do you earn JP just by doing stuff while you're a job, or do you earn JP by using your job skills?
The job, yeah.
So I was confused on that part, and I was like, I feel like I'm not advancing. So that took a big hit for me, and then there are multiple points throughout the story, namely towards the end of chapter 2, the fight with Gafgarian, and then that second fight against one of the Lucavi. I don't think it's the big fat one, but it's the other one with the claws. It's either Fulmarv or Wygraf that you fight. That one was really damn hard. And then like the beginning of chapter 3, or like somewhere, the end of chapter 2, chapter 3 was really goddamn hard. And then towards the end, it's pretty damn easy. So
the curve is all over the place.
It's very difficult to enter. I'm going to give it a 5.
So I personally gave it an 8 out of 10 for difficulty curve, just because I agree with you. So what I wrote, the 1v1 against Wygraf is always really, really hard. As well as like the monastery, like if you're there's a couple moments in the game where if you're under leveled and you enter the main game, like the main mode, like the red dot, sometimes there's multiple battles back to back to back, and you don't get to change your mind after you finish the first battle. So sometimes you get stuck. Like one of my childhood runs of the game, I legitimately had to make a new game because I did the 10-year-old mistake of only having one save file, and I legitimately could not pass part of it because the characters were too strong.
That was the thing with the Gafgarian fight. It's not even like with these fights, you can get lucky. Like you can't. The Gafgarian fight, that was the one where easily I did the most amount of times, where Ramza is separated with Gafgarian, because I literally could not do anything to him with just Ramza. I needed the other people, and the other people I kept getting killed. So I kept replaying it, being like, okay, if I put this person here, I put this person here, I get a lucky KO with Agrias, and then I silence this guy so he can't do anything. I had scenarios where everything played out exactly as I wanted it to, and I still lost. And at that point, it's just like, you just need to...
It's frustrating.
Well, at that point, there's no solution other than you just have to grind. You just can't do this level yet. You know?
Yeah. That's the craziest thing about tactics games, is that it's all about the pre-knowledge, which is almost like war itself. Like it's all about how much.
It's a video game, Ryan.
Have. Oh, come on! It's real life.
All right.
It's all about the knowledge you have. But yeah, so again, it really, what's crazy is because some of the main fights that they do, they test you very quickly on like some of the strategic concepts of the game. Like when you first do Dorter Trade City, which is like the first human fight that you do, it's the third red dot. It's when you first start fighting some units in a town, and what they do is assholes, before you even get bows and arrows, they throw fucking 2 archers up on the highest point of the game, and they just get like 2 free turns to shoot down on you as you try to climb your way up, because you don't even have enough people, you don't have enough like range yet to deal with that, but they throw that stuff at you. So that's why I give it an 8 out of 10, because like it definitely, your first playthrough is very hard because you have to make very harsh mistakes that you don't even know that you're making yet, because you just didn't realize that your characters weren't built for this type of thing. But I mean, again, like that's like, it's again from the nostalgic I've played tactics games point of view, I love those challenges, and I also feel like I can kind of see the solutions. It's like I've solved those puzzles enough that I can kind of see what the game is trying to get me to do if I played like a new version of those games. But definitely for somebody as like your first, like I remember my first times playing that game, and I had the exact same like, wow, this is fucking
it's just
bullshit. Like why do I have to do this right now?
Yeah.
And it's very frustrating. And the grind, that's... We'll get into it later for compelling factor replayability. But yeah, so I give that... personally, I give that an 8 out of 10. You said 6
I said 6. I mean, for agreeing with most of the stuff I said, 8 seems pretty high.
Yeah, I mean... Wheatgrass Fight's really hard, man.
All right. Next one is level of immersion. So this is basically... When you were playing the game, did you feel like you were having an in-game experience? Did you feel like you were sucked into the world of the game? No. Not really. To be fair, I don't think that's a big part of this game. Because when you're playing chess, you're not like, I am the pawn taking down this other pawn. The whole point of a tactical game like that is there's supposed to be a degree of separation. Because you have the bird's eye view, definitely. You're the one playing the pieces. It's not like you're on the battlefield. You're the one controlling it from above. So it's not like you're not supposed to feel like you are Ramza, even though he is a relatable character in a lot of character trait kind of ways. I feel like this game isn't really meant to be super immersive in that way. The part that got me the most immersed and like enveloped in it was the story. When story stuff was happening, I was like, oh, this is really cool. This is happening, as if it's like historical events are playing out in front of me. This is really cool. When there were like big plot moments like that. And also, there's something that it does that I think is really cool, where it's not just cutscenes that are separated by battles. There are a lot of battles where gameplay will stop when it's a certain opponent's turn, and they'll have like a line of dialogue related to the story, and then Ramza will rebuttal. And like, I think it's really cool the way they incorporated that. That definitely sucked me in a little more. But I think overall it's not really that immersive, especially because I was playing on my phone. That's another thing, is that like I'm playing on a little thing, and like I always had other stuff going on around me, and I could never have the music on full blast. So like, I would give this one a 5, but also, to be fair, I don't think, like, if we were to do, like, weighted scores, level of immersion, I feel like would not matter as much for this game. So I think that's fine.
I agree. I pretty much agree with everything you're saying there. Personally, I gave the level of immersion, I actually did a 6 out of 10. For me, so the game has kind of slow points in between the storyline of the first half of the game to the second half of the game. So like when you're first playing and you don't know anything about the game yet, and you're just like, it's the northern sky versus the southern sky. It was confusing because there's a lot of characters. It's hard to get into the game when you don't really know what's going on. But for me, every time I play the game, I'm pretty much fully locked in once it's like, Rams is a heretic. He's trying to stop the church from doing all this stuff. And especially because, like, all right, listen, guys, no offense to religious people out there, but, like, church is like what the church murders people. Okay, there is a murder going on in any religious like association. Yep. I'm sorry, but like so like especially in this game, dude, the church does not hold
this
back
church
on
is real bad.
Yoinking people.
The church
dude,
in Evil East is like friggin' bad people, man. Bad dudes.
Very bad people. But like that to me, that like kind of like what you said, again, a tactics game, you're not really supposed to pretend that you're the archer shooting the one guy for your one turn. Exactly. Again, you really are supposed to feel like you're controlling.
You're the general. It's supposed to feel like almost like a game board, because it is almost like a war, whatever those are called, like actual generals use.
Like a tactics board. And so like I agree. That's why I can't really put it too high. Unlike our other game we'll talk about with Immersion. Because oh my god!
All right, let's keep going. We got to wrap this up because we got a whole nother game. So, the pacing of this game, I would give it an 8. I think it was well paced. There's 4 chapters. They're all chapter 3 and 4 are obviously longer than chapters 2 and 1, but not insanely. Like, Chapter 3 felt pretty long, but at the same time, I feel like it's all going along with the pace of the story, so as long as you're hooked by the story and you want to know what happens next, it doesn't really... There are only a few moments where it feels like, okay, this is dragging out a little long. And I feel like some of that might be a detriment. Maybe you can back this up. I don't know exactly which ones, but I know there were some added missions. I feel like some of those, like when I was rescuing Luso from the beasts, like that optional mission thing, I was like, who cares? I don't want to do this. Let me get back to the story stuff.
I agree with that. The added missions that they do is like a little kind of off topic. Like, really like the Luso thing. The big thing about that is they wanted to add, it's really, really weird because the main, like Luso is the main character of Final Fantasy Tactics A2. Yeah. It's the third Final Fantasy Tactics. It's the second of the DS, of the advanced ones. So it's really weird because like, I think that game came out when Final Fantasy A2 was coming out. So it was like a weird, almost kind of like a fourth wall break. Like, I know that character.
It's like a promo.
And it's a little, exactly. It really is like a promo. It's a little pointless.
But I think just generally it was pretty well paced. There's a few moments where it's like, okay, maybe let's speed it up a little bit. But in general, I think it was pretty good.
I think it was pretty decently paced too. I think once you... Like, especially if you look at the whole map in general, it's kind of nice because it's typically 3 to 4 blips before you get to the next main town that allows you to unlock more items, more rumors, more errands, so on and so forth. And so that it's pretty chopped up really evenly in that regard.
Yeah, exactly. It's even.
What makes it slow is when you have to travel from the southern part of the map to the northern part of the map, and you have to take the chance of the random encounters that you have to like. There's like 13 chances that you might randomly get into a fight, and you got to do a fight.
Yeah. Oh well.
I mean, like, so to me, like, I gave the pacing a 7 out of 10 because it's good pacing at the beginning for a strategy game. It shows the new parts and the new jobs at a pretty good rate. But so once everything is unlocked, or the majority of the things are unlocked, you as the character can unlock jobs quicker than the story will introduce to you. So a lot of times if you get into the game, a lot of people end up finding the ninja class before ninjas appear as enemies. So like by the time ninjas appear, it's supposed to kind of be like whoa, they have ninjas. But like for me anyways, I was like, I've had ninjas for like 6 major battles now, and I know this shit on people. So like I don't care. Like I'm just gonna beat them up anyways.
Nowhere near like ninjas when they introduced ninjas to me.
Oh really? Oh wow, that's so funny. Really, I was I even on my first playthrough, I think I got ninjas by like the desert. No, I just like grinded monks and thieves and okay, well it's okay.
All right,
it's okay.
Let's move on.
So I give it a 7.
Okay, 7 out of 10 for you. I give it an 8. Next one is the compelling factor. This is, does it keep you playing? When you're not playing, do you want to keep playing? Does the game keep you hooked? Does it keep you moving along? Does it make you want to play more? I am conflicted with this one because when I was in the game, when I was playing, and if I was winning, I was like, hell yeah, let's do the next one. But with certain fights, it depends, because like these aren't short. Some of them are kind of short and you can get them over with quickly. But you could also be spending 10 to 15 minutes on a mission. So it fucking sucks when you're in minute 12 and then you die, and then it's like, oh god,
and you have to do it again.
Shit over again. Like, come on.
Yeah. Especially if something happened to work out in a lucky or good way. You're like, oh god, how am I gonna friggin' do that again? I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But generally, even with that, I would still keep playing. So I would say the compelling factor was there when I was playing the game. The big issue was when I was not playing the game. When I put the game down...
You didn't want to pick it up again. You did not want to pick it up again.
And it's not even because I didn't enjoy it. Like, I always enjoyed it whenever I was playing it. But whenever I put it down, I was just like, I don't want to play tactics right now. Like, that's too much. It's an endeavor to play this game.
So I think this was I've been talking about it for like a year and a half now. This was like the danger of the tactics recommendation, I think, because it's not even a different genre of game. It's a different genre of activity almost, because it's a huge strategy thing. Like, it's so different from, there's common aspects from an FPS to a platformer, that you can kind of like agree that are there. But this game, because there's, especially because it's turn-based, it is a lot slower, and we're like, nothing hurts more in Final Fantasy Tactics than a random encounter that you did not want to do. Yeah. Like, if you were trying to like get to a major area and then you have to just fight these six random
losing to that random encounter. And then it was either chapter 2 or 3 or something. I got wrecked by some fucking chocobos. Literally just a bunch of chocobos. Wrecked me, and I was like, what the hell?
That's so funny. So honestly, I actually didn't give a rating for it, because I feel like this is honestly like a homework based question than necessarily for me, because I've already completed it. So like it's and like that's so fair. I think it's a little bit more for you. But to answer the question anyways, I honestly think there's a pretty low compelling factor. I think that's an inherent flaw of tactics based games though, because you can kind of like, what's nice about it is that you could easily, if you enjoy those games, you could literally almost chunk every fight as to a different game of its own. It's just you're just playing a round of a strategy game, and so that's what's cool. But if you love that stuff, some people exactly, some people grind that shit. Some people do that shit for hours. You know what I mean? They like playing Risk Global Domination with their friends when they were younger, 30 times in a row. Well, I could never do that personally. I love Risk, but I could play it once and then I'm good. That was my game of Risk, and that's like kind of how Tactics is.
Yeah.
Just not nearly.
So
as long.
I'll give that like a 6.5.
Okay, I'm actually gonna give it a 5.
Moving on to the last one that we are rating. That's going to be replayability. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see myself playing this game anytime soon again. So inherently, that's what's interesting, is that because of the jobs and because of the classes and the abilities, this game is inherently so replayable. Every playthrough of this game for every person is going to be so different. Even with just Ramza alone, you can be like, I'm going to make him a dragoon. I'm going to make him a samurai. I'm going to make him a ninja. I'm going to make him a monk the whole time. And then add on top of that you have 3 to 4 other units every single match that you can be like, I'm just going to go full team of black mages and just wreck them. I'm going to get an arithmetic this time. I'm going to get like there's so many classes that you can customize your party so much that in that way, it is inherently almost endlessly replayable. But like I said, for me at least, it's an ordeal to play this game, especially if you're rusty. I feel like it's an ordeal to go back in and be like, okay, so how do I get this class? And like, all right, what were the good skills I want to use? The best thing that I got out of this game, even though I liked the tactical style of gameplay, was the story, and I feel like
that's the part you can't replay, which stinks.
I can't re-experience that new.
Because it's the same story. Yeah, so I honestly, I'm in 100% agreement. So I give the replayability 9 out of 10 because of, pretty much agreeing to the concept of there's plenty of different builds, there's different expeditions, there's on like what's really cool is that there is a lot of secret depth and Easter eggs to the game. Yep. So for example, you can get Cloud as a main character. You can actually unlock Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. You can meet Aerith in the game. Aerith's actually in the game as well. As a whole secret thing, there's 2 secret job classes that they don't even talk about that they added into War of the Lions that
Onion Knight.
It's very hard to unlock. Onion Knight and Dark Knight. So there's a lot of extra things you can do. Like you could a really fun one if you guys end up getting the game, try doing solo Ramza Arithmetic. It's the speed run build. People literally only pick Ramza and they make them in Arithmetic. And then they shit on everybody. It's really, really, really funny. It's really funny. So there really is a lot of replay value. Again, it's all under the caveat if you enjoy tactics games, there's a lot of replay value. Yeah. I encourage and implore anyone to play this game for the story, like I made Corey do, because I think the story is honestly worth getting through it once.
Definitely.
But once the story's done, I 100% get how it is not you're more playing for the enjoyment of a battle game than necessarily the story. So.
I think it was still charming enough. Replayability, I think I'm going to give it a 7. I can't deny it's inherently replayable. It's not something that I could see myself being like, man, I really want to start a playthrough of Final Fantasy Tactics right now. But that being said, I still it makes sense. And I'm not saying that I won't in the future. I might. Just not anytime soon.
Makes sense to me.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Playthrough experience. This was my homework game, and I feel like, as a word of caution to anyone out there who wants to play this game, don't play it like I did. To be honest, I feel like the way that I played this game hindered how much I enjoyed it, and I don't want to, I want to tell you directly, Ryan, I had a lot of fun with this game, and I'm very glad that you recommended this game to me. I'm going out of this game with positive feelings. I'm going to look back and be like, Final Fantasy Tactics, that was a cool game. I liked playing that. I'm glad that was my homework game. But I love to procrastinate. And I know you do too. And I think just fact that it's called a homework game, it makes us be like, I don't want to do my homework. So many times.
I'm right there. I'm all for the procrastination. I'm
multiple times Ryan and I would go to record an episode and just be like, all right, so what do you got for a homework game? Oh, I actually didn't play. and I think the way this game is built, I think it's best experienced if you play it semi-regularly for a certain period of time until you finish the game. The way I played it, we started this podcast in November of 2019. I finished this game.
Oof.
When did I finish it? I don't remember when I finished it.
I think around the same time. I think November of 2020.
Yeah, so it took me a fucking year to finish this game. If you play this game, don't play it over a year, please, because that just
play it faster.
Just like I said, with that style of game, once you get the hang of it, you want to hold on to it. You don't want to be like, all right, let me not play for a month and a half so that next time I play it, I have to refamiliarize myself with literally how to play it. And it's the same thing with the story, too, because it's such a complex story. You can't watch season 1 and 2 of Game of Thrones and then pick it back up a few months later. You're not going to know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, you're not going to remember everything.
There's
perfectly.
Too many names, too many moving parts. So I had a great experience playing this game as my homework game. I think the way that I played it, bad on me, my B. If you're going to play it, which the thing is, I highly recommend this game with an asterisk. If you are either a big fan of high fantasy and or Final Fantasy, play this game. If you're a fan of tactical RPGs or have experience with them, a moderate level, play this game. If you're completely unfamiliar with both, don't play this game as your first Final Fantasy or your first tactical game.
Okay, yeah. So, funny enough, I've said it a bunch of times. I literally said I feel so weird recommending this game to you because I feel like it's very hit or miss. This is exactly how I thought your opinion of the game would go.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you would like it, but I wasn't expecting you to all of a sudden be like, I'm going to play every strategy game ever made now because you have now unlocked this whole demon of strategy within me.
So that's the thing, is that I love that. I love strategic stuff, but there's something about it. I don't know. I can't put it into words.
You're like, I can't put it into words either, but I understand what you're talking about.
I love the concept, and I love it in practice, but I'm not sure I love it in
execution.
I'm not sure I love doing it over and over and over, one after another, in video game form. Well, I don't know, because I liked it. It was a good video game.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about it that's just so demoralizing if you're not getting it right, that it's I don't know. And me personally, I feel like I've played too many video games where my ego is too high. I would feel too much shame if I was hugging a walkthrough the whole way through. I need to. I feel like, I need to challenge myself. People were figuring shit like this out in the 80s and 90s. I need to be able to figure it out. I'm a gamer. I have too much pride.
I'm a real gamer, guys. I'm a real gamer.
But yeah, I would say, letter grade. This is a B tier game. Definite recommend with an asterisk.
I like it. Okay. Don't worry. The next game I give you is going to be more normal gamey.
All right.
I promise. It'll be more normal gamey. I hope you will enjoy it. And that'll be in for the future. So from the nostalgic point of view, again, I personally recommend the game kind of honestly on the same asterisk level. Again, this is one of my favorite stories in a video game. Honestly, probably still to this day. I really, really, really enjoy the story. I've always loved, I'm a huge fantasy nerd, especially as of recently. I'm not even kidding. I have literally now listened to, I want to say 27 fantasy books on Audible right now, in the past year. And I'm not even kidding. They're all 60 hours long. I'm not even kidding. 65% of my waking day is my earbuds in listening to fantasy books.
Damn.
So I love the world of Final Fantasy Tactics. Personally, it's a deep-seated love of fantasy. So if you like fantasy stuff, if you like again, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, or I'll just quickly flex my things. If you like Wheel of Time or the Mistborn or the Cosmere stuff, any of that, if you enjoy that type of plot, there's not as much magical artifacts other than the Aura Sight, but there's enough that I really recommend the story. I recommend the story more than the gameplay almost. But if you like tactics games, then I recommend the gameplay, because from a tactics perspective, there's a lot of intricacies with all the different jobs, making all these different cool classes, trying to optimize how much damage you can do, and how much HP you can make a character have, and stuff like that. Again, if you're into that stuff, you'll enjoy it. But if anything, if that's a neutral for you, I recommend it for the story more than anything. That's what I recommended. I recommend it for the story, and I definitely recommend that you play War of the Lions, because I recommend the cutscenes.
For sure.
Now that I know what those cutscenes are, even more. So personally, I'm gonna give it a B. I'm still gonna give it a B tier. I think
so we're on the same page. That's cool.
I think a B tier game. I think it makes sense, because I think A and S tier is something that I really would urge everyone, regardless of where you come from, to try the game out. So, yeah, I would definitely give it a B tier.
Hell yeah.
Let's continue on to the next homework game, which is my homework game, which is Hollow Knight.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So, to give some more information about Hollow Knight, it's a 2D Metroidvania action-adventure game developed and published by Team Cherry, released originally for Microsoft Windows on February 24th of 2017. The game's really cool because it features multiple free DLC updates, such as the Hidden Dreams, the Grim Troop, Lifeblood, Gods and Glory, and it was released over the span of 1.5 years after release, with plenty of updated visuals. There's new boss, music, charms, areas, etc. What's really cool about it is, so it was originated as a game jam game by Ari Gibson and Will Pellin that sucked, called Hungry Night, and the devs decided to go off of this and create another game jam with a Beneath the Surface theme, but missed the deadline. This concept evolved into the Underground Kingdom setting that blossomed into Hollow Knight. It was revealed on Kickstarter in 2014 with a goal of 35,000, but reaching more than 57,000 from 2,100 backers, many of whom ended up as characters in the game. It was literally developed by 3 people plus one guy that made the music, Christopher Larkin. Yeah. So it's like crazy how tiny of a game it is, but how big the community is and how awesome the game is in general. It's actually crazy. This was literally was developed by just an indie crew.
It's nuts that this was like their first big popular game. And it's gotten so big that the sequel literally got its own feature presentation at Nintendo E3 for Treehouse Live.
Yeah, that is really insane. That's the Oscars.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. To get like that much respect from like an indie game company, like just to be a couple friends making a game like that. So to go back into the first category, like we do with Final Fantasy Tactics, we have a bunch of different categories that we're going to break down for Hollow Knight to talk to you guys about. So to start is going to be the gameplay, which personally is amazing on Hollow Knight already. I give it a 9 out of 10. I would say it's fun in all parts of the game, which is nice. So even in the beginning when you don't have as many moves unlocked, because what's super cool about the game is that the movement is very progressive. As you get more items or beat more bosses, you gain a lot more movement based abilities or attacks, which is super duper cool. And the combat feels very, very smooth and genuine, which I really, really like. The only thing personally I would say that I played it a bunch that I wish there was maybe more melee-esque stuff, because it's realistically only one note hits. But regardless, like that's the tiniest detail. That's just be like the what would I perfect it with, quote unquote. It doesn't even feel like it doesn't feel like there's not enough movement or combat, but ideally thinking about it now, it'd be cool if there was more there. But regardless, this is probably the most fun 2D combat I've had aside from Smash. Like that's like literally how fun it is to move around and bounce around and traverse in that game. Movement's awesome in that game.
Yeah, especially once you get all the upgrades and stuff, it's just so much.
Yes.
And like the way that the charms interact with it too. Like
different
things that you can do with the charms, like extending the reach of your nail and little things like that. It's so much fun to move around in from a platforming perspective, but all like that's crazy that to me they could nail platforming and combat so well in the same game and still have it feel like one cohesive game.
Yeah.
Like not feel like you're playing 2 different versions of one thing. It all melds together really well.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like they ripped it off of anything else, but it still feels real to Metro. Like it literally feels like they somehow knew that this would be their niche thing they could insert into the Metroidvania like type of game. Now any game that even comes close to this is going to be Hollow Knight-esque. You know what I mean? Like they've literally they are the starters of it, which is so cool. And it's already kind of spawned a lot of I think a lot of games games are kind of like that now. For like platformers, like there's the movement is now a lot more key. It feels like
it's so crisp and quick.
Yeah, it is.
Feels so good.
It really does feel so good. That's a super important thing for me personally as a big gamer. Is I hate clunky feeling movement. I want to be able to schmoove, man.
You like pressing buttons.
I love pressing buttons. In this game, there's actually a decent amount of button presses for a single player game. So I actually appreciate that. A lot of some frame tight stuff, which is very interesting.
Oh yeah, especially for the platforming.
Yeah, definitely. So like I said, I personally give it a 9 out of 10. I don't know about you.
Okay, I'm gonna go I'll go 9.5 out of 10. There's something that's pulling me. Something that's pulling me from giving it a perfect 10. I'm not really sure what it is, but
like personally, it'd be cool if there was like maybe more like actual combos, because like if you just press square repeatedly on the ground, he just does a 1 2 1 2 1 2. So it'd be cool if there's like a little bit more flourish or something, like something that maybe does more damage.
Yeah, if you have an opportunity where you can strike an enemy a bunch of times, it's still just whack 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 whack.
Yeah,
whack,
exactly. But okay, yeah. So yeah, 9.5 out of 10. That's super good. I've been kind of whole rated. I guess I have a couple half ratings, but All right, so now we have talking about the story, which is another really cool, super interesting aspect of Hollow Knight. It's something that I like. I've been equating to this story as well, is that it's another thing that's been popular in like the recent gaming world, or I'll still say recent. It's honestly kind of old now, but like the Dark Souls, Demon Souls way of telling lore in a game is really, really intriguing for a player and for like the community, because you have to piece together all of the lore through just character text, item text. Like, you know, you have to kind of infer things based on like the background and the pictures and like the things that the designers leave for you as the viewer to kind of uncover and unravel in the game, which is also actually a pretty big Metroidvania thing. Like I know in like the original Metroid, like when you first see like some bounty hunter like bodies like on the ground in the background and stuff, is
exactly.
Like that's like really cool that you get to see.
That's definitely a staple of Metroidvanias, but even it's like, I'm sure this has been done in other Metroidvanias before this, but like it's kind of the natural evolution of that, where like before in Metroid games specifically, there was a lot of environmental storytelling, but that was pretty much it, other than the explicit cutscenes that you get like in the beginning or like at the end of the game or something like that. And this is kind of the natural evolution where it's like, depending on how much time and effort you want to put into talking to NPCs, filling out the hunter's journal, getting collectibles, getting like king's idols and selling them to that historian guy.
Yeah, that
which is really bits of lore. Like, as much you get out what you put into it. And I think that's really cool.
Which is, I agree. I think that's super cool as well. And it really does, like, it's cool because, like, kind of like what you said, like, once you get invested into the game, it's really, really neat and rewarding to, like, hear a huge descript version of the game. Like that, like that Mossbag video, like it's really, really cool. Really cool.
Yeah, anyone, quick shout out. There's someone on YouTube called Mossbag, and he does a lot of, like, really well thought out and honestly wicked funny
like, really funny meme edits. And, it's actually so funny.
He does a bunch of Hollow Knight analysis and review videos and stuff about the lore and stuff like that. So if anyone is interested in that, go check him out on YouTube. That's Mossbag, Mossbag.
Yes, please check him out on YouTube. Definitely, always support.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let's hear that synopsis.
Let's hear the synopsis now. You're right. So yeah, to give you guys kind of like, again, this is kind of the briefest of rundowns to the game itself, you know, how the game kind of flows in terms of the story and everything. So at the outset of the game, a nameless knight arrives at the ruins of Hallownest and makes camp in the small town of Dirtmouth just above its entrance. As the knight ventures through the ruins, they discover that Hallownest was once a flourishing kingdom which fell to ruin after becoming overrun with the infection, which drove its citizens to madness and undeath. The last ruler of Hallownest, the Pale King, attempted to seal away the infection. However, it became increasingly clear that the seal is failing. The knight is determined to find and kill the three dreamers who act as living locks to the seal. This quest brings the knight to conflict with Hornet, a female warrior who acts as the protector of Hallownest and and who tests the knight's resolve in several battles. Also, everyone's a bug.
I added that.
It's all bugs. Everyone's a bug.
Also, a quick note, spoilers, obviously. We're going to spoil the whole game. If you don't want to hear spoilers, skip ahead
most definitely.
10 minutes.
Yeah, skip ahead about 10 minutes. Yeah, this is going to literally ruin everything. Yeah. So please skip ahead if you don't want to hear. But if you're listening to this, you probably should have hopefully been invested into this game by now with us. So through dialogue with certain characters as well as cutscenes, the knight receives insight into the origin of the infection and itself in ancient times. The bugs of Hallownest worshipped a higher being called the Radiance, a primordial, godlike moth whose mere presence would sway the denizens of the Hallownest into mindless obedience. One day, another higher being called the Worm arrived at Hallownest and transformed into the Pale King so that it could establish a grand kingdom. The Pale King expanded the minds of the bugs of Hallownest, granting them intelligence and self-awareness, which is how we can now talk to them, and there's kind of, emotions out of these characters. Granted him intelligence, self-awareness, and then eliminated the Radiance by destroying all memory of it. So with no worship, the Radiance faded away. And this lasted until an ancient statue of the Radiance was accidentally seen at the edge of the Hallownest crown by a random bug, which ended up reviving her memory of her and became enraged. The Radiance began invading the dreams of the Hallownest citizens and driving them into madness, which is the affliction known as the Infection, which is where everything starts to get messed up and corrupted in the world of Hallownest. So in an attempt to contain the spreading infection, the Pale King used the power of the Void, a type of living darkness, to create the Vessels, living yet empty beings that would hypothetically lack a will which could be corrupted by the infection. So you need to be able to not have any will, be able to just mindlessly carry out the task of stopping this infection. And after many attempts, he created a suitable vessel, which was the Hollow Knight, not you, but the Hollow Knight, which is the boss of the game, and used it to contain the infection. He then sealed the Hollow Knight within the Black Egg Temple with the aid of the three Dreamers. Yet because the Pale King had bonded with the Hollow Knight as a parent and child, respectively, the Hollow Knight developed a wish that was used by the Radiance as a foothold for corruption, compromising the seal. So what's really neat about this is, so as the story progresses, the Knight discovers that they are a failed vessel, one of the hundreds who has failed to be chosen as the Hollow Knight, but yet had the strength to escape the abyss from where all voids originate. The game now has multiple endings. So the Knight can defeat the Hollow Knight and takes its place, sealing infection inside itself. If the Knight learns about its own origins as a failed vessel, roughly similar to the first ending, except what will happen is roughly similar to the first ending, except Hornet arrives to help during the final battle and is sealed away with the Knight, becoming the dreamer that locks the door. And then lastly, if the Knight learns about its own origins, and you also have the Awakened Dream Nail, which is a special item in the game, you can enter the Hollow Knight's dreams when Hornet arrives to help, and you can challenge the actual last living memory of the Radiance and kill that to completely destroy it. So the battle ends when the Knight commands the complete power of the Void and the remaining vessels to consume the Radiance utterly and thus end the threat of the infection, though the Knight mysteriously disappears from the chamber thereafter. Which is badass. He doesn't even look at his own explosion. He just disappears.
Nice.
He full Final Fantasy X it.
He just goes
Final Fantasy X it.
I remember you said when you were wondering what was going to happen or whatever.
I think it was during your last stream of it, and you said something about are they going to do like a Final Fantasy X here?
Yeah, literally. Yeah. He literally just. Oh man. I don't think my 13-year-old heart will ever get over that. Yeah. How? Anyways, but oh man. So what's so cool about even just reading that is how in depth that little synopsis of the game is by itself, like the actual lore, and I love the concept of the Radiance. Like I love the idea of like just the last spark of her memory is enough to kind of corrupt and cause this chain reaction.
Yeah, so I was going to ask so actually cool. during your gameplay, did you actually find that statue?
Yeah, the one it's at the very top.
Way in the top corner,
super top. Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah, yep.
At first when I saw it, I was like,
I had no idea.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, what the heck is that? It looks like a rocket ship.
Exactly. So I never equated that to be a moth. Like, especially like once seeing the Radiance, now it makes so much freaking sense seeing it. Especially because like it's like I think it's so cool that the moths are like these like the dream people. Like I like how the seer that helps you being a moth is so cool that like their power revolves around dreaming. I think is such a neat idea.
The seer is like the only living moth that you meet throughout the game, and she is actually the one that gives you the dream nail. So like it makes sense. And she's the one that rescued like when you first see the dreamers and you basically get like sucked into the dream world. Mm-hmm.
like once you come out of it, you're with the seer, so it makes sense that the seer takes you out of it, and then the seer explains stuff to you and gives you the dream nail.
But just in the story in general, like hands down, is definitely one of the coolest stories I would say for a game. And I think they executed it so well in that like Dark Soulsian fashion that I like a lot, because I really like the mystery behind. The deeper you go, the more you discover, until you finally discover where the Pale King kind of is, and then you finally discover like the Abyss, where like that
the worm's carcass.
Yep, the worm's carcass. Yep. And like also it's so neat that like you don't really know what you're doing at the beginning. You're just like, oh, I'm just gonna fight a boss here, I'm gonna fight a boss there, I'm just gonna do this, and then like you end up like seeing more and more and more. And it's really cool that like there's like this natural flow to the game where once you get deep enough, then all of a sudden you have to start just branching outwards, or maybe you did branch outwards a little bit, but it's like it's cool how they make the same space so massive within itself. It's like a perfect maze, which is really interesting, because usually you'd think it would piss you off, but it really doesn't that much.
I've been watching a lot of I don't know if you've ever seen, the channel's called Game Maker's Toolkit, but it's like the series is Boss Keys. You ever seen those on YouTube?
I don't think so, no.
So with the season, I think it's the second season, basically what he's doing, Mark Brown, is he's analyzing the worlds of Metroidvanias and the ways in which they unlock and stuff. And Hollow Knight is so fascinating, because it's like you have so much freedom in that game, but what you don't realize is that the way it starts out is that it basically funnels you towards the City of Tears. And once you get towards the City of Tears, and once you get the Dream Nail particularly, you can go to like 75% of the overworld just like that, right then and there. And the coolest thing about it is that ever since I played Hollow Knight was my first Metroidvania. I've been fascinated by that style of gameplay where like you unlock bits and pieces of the world depending on the different abilities you have. Most of the other ones I've played have kind of been very similar, but more in a way of like, this whole section of the overworld over here you can't get until you get this one particular item. Then you can go through this one entrance and do that whole area. Hollow Knight is unique because every single area in Hollow Knight, with exception of maybe one or two, is connected to at least two other areas. So it's not like there's only one entrance. Like City of Tears is connected to 6 other areas. Isn't that crazy?
That is really crazy.
Yeah.
And like also it's like I said, how well they use space within that game. Like every segment of the map that you go through, there's like there are secrets. Like there's secrets or there's unlocked paths that you end up coming back to that, and it's a different thing you have to do. So like, there's so many like weakened walls that you can like maybe get some extra geo from, or like a grub or something, that like there's just so many cool secrets and like little things, or maybe there's a little nugget of lore in one area, like anything. It's
that's the big thing, is that the world itself tells the story too. To get back to the category that we're talking about.
to get back to the category. Exactly.
I forgot we were talking about story. So what would you give this for a rating?
Honestly, 10 out of 10. I think story-wise, like, it's
nice.
Like purely for story, like maybe if I counted like if this game would be annoying if this was the 1990s and I had to buy a fucking $30 game book to know the whole story, I'd be a little bummed. Okay. But that being said, and the internet is free thanks to Mossbag, totally appreciate it. But we're actually just like literally as a story itself, this would be like a cool fantasy book story to like understand. You know what I mean? If they're like if you gave more voice or thought to like the characters, obviously, like. Obviously can't really like talk about a game that way, but yeah, like a story alone, I would say 10 out of 10. To be honest, I would give it a perfect 10 out of 10. I don't know what else I would change to give it to make it feel more Hollow Knighty than it is, if that makes sense. Like there's like I don't think anything they did is too cliche, or I don't like it, honestly. Yeah, I don't think any, some of the concepts have definitely been touched on in the story, like everything has nowadays, so you can't really say that about something. But regardless, it feels so unique and original, like to itself. Like it already feels like now it's going to be like the start of another, like again, like I think things are going to come from it. Like it's not coming from something, it's things are going to come from it. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. I think you just convinced me to give it a 10. I was going to give it a 9, and I have specific things that, like, you know, I when I was playing, we'll talk about it more, I think, when we get to maybe like pacing or something. Yeah. But this game is pretty vague. I think that's it's, and that is that it, like you were saying, that's that Dark Souls style where it's kind of like you need to discover it on your own.
Yeah.
But the reason I'm conflicted is because I'm kind of conflating story and plot, because in the beginning of the game you don't really have any of that story to latch onto. So you kind of need to just push yourself to keep going until you can start getting these juicy morsels of lore. And then once you have the full course, like I was telling you that when I was playing this game, at first I was kind of like, okay, this is cool, but I don't really know where this is going. And then once I got maybe like 10 hours in, I was like hooked. And then once I got maybe like 15 hours in, I was like also simultaneously looking up little juicy bits of lore on like the wiki pages and like finding little things and paying so much more attention that by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, I had the full 3-course meal in front of me, and I was like, this is a delicious story. This is fantastic.
Great food analogies going on with that. But yeah, so like I guess personally the reason why I give it a 10 is because, you know, again, I'm kind of just looking at the story as all the evidence is presented before me as a complete story. You know, like just like this is like the finished English essay, I'm now grading
looking at it as a full story, and that's why I think you convinced me to give it a 10.
Yeah, thank you. But also, going, I agree. I think we'll talk about pacing, because I'm definitely like, I'm perfectly there with you. I totally agree with what you're talking about.
Yeah. To go, last things I want to say about the story is that aside from, you know, because a lot of games or just movies or just media in general can have a fascinating sequence of events where as it's happening, you're like, oh, that's sick. Like we talked about Game of Thrones and we talked about Final Fantasy Tactics, how it's like there's big power moves, and once stuff like that happens, you're like, whoa, that's nuts. This game is not like that. This game is more just like the overall, the vibes that you get from it and the overarching story and the consequences and the way that it reflects on the world. It's just so fascinating. And I think, like I said with Final Fantasy Tactics, it's not just the events that are cool. There's some really cool themes at play in this game. It's because, like, think about it. Think of like any media ever. It's always like the darkness represents evil and light represents the good, the savior. Yeah. This completely flips that on its head, because you are void, you are pure darkness, and the radiance is pure light. Not only is that like a perfect role reversal where it's like the light is evil and the darkness is supposedly like, you know, this is a dying kingdom. So basically what you're doing by defeating the Radiance is you're letting this dying kingdom rest in peace. You're letting it return to the darkness where it belongs because it's dead. But also at the same time, on a basic level, they're bugs. So it makes sense that they would be drawn to light. I just think that's so cool.
I agree. I think it's what I really like the bugs being drawn to light and being like, you know, again, like bugs doing that are mindlessly do that. So I really like, you know, like again, like I totally agree. Like the level 1 theme perfectly goes into the level 5 theme of the game, like which I totally agree. I think that's super, super neat.
And that's another theme of it is just like sentience and the concept of like, because the Dream Nail gives you the ability to like basically read people's minds. And it's so interesting reading the mind, because you can, I don't know if you did this, but like at a certain point when I realized that you could do this to basically any creature.
I totally just started trying to like the fuck out of people and figuring out like what they were thinking. Yeah.
You can do it to the most basic of enemies. You can do it to the White Lady. You can do it to corpses. You can do it to basically everything. And just the way that you hear them think like about you and about the world, and the way that some of them are thinking in like riddles and stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, it takes such a unique mind, a unique 3 people only to come up with that.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Because, like, I remember, like, that giant bug in the Queen's station that, like, she, like, if you read her mind, she's like, oh, something of like, oh, you look delicious. I really kind of want to eat you right now. Like, I like just like it's like so I'm like, what the heck? I was like ready for her to like actually every single time I talked to her, I was like, I think you're gonna try to eat me. I am ready for you to fight me. And then obviously that just never happened. But like it's just like little things like that. So cool.
All right, so tens across the board.
Yeah, 10s across the board for the story. So going, so the next category is going to be visual style, which is like, so again, another thing I care about definitely is like I love how a game looks. Like I want it to feel complete, and like personally, I actually love, like I think you probably agree too, just because of the games I know that you like, but I actually love things with hard line work than like realistic games. Like I always like a stylized art style game over like I need the most HD rendered grass to blow in the most natural human weather patterns possible, or I'm not gonna play the game.
I think that's us playing Japanese games in our childhood and like Wind Waker.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, honestly, it's actually 100% Wind Waker specifically. I think of the Wind Waker line art on a bomb smoke or the waves.
Yeah,
and that's literally crack to me. Like that's how I would go. I would literally just slowly walk into a white van, or honestly into an uncovered manhole on a street. If somebody just had like a picture of a Toon Link bomb, and I would just look at it. If it was
cell shaded, then it's just
oh my god, oh. Yeah. But yeah, so the visual style, oh my god, is amazing. I love the eyes. The eyes in the game is what draws me in
they're just
so
blank.
much.
Dude,
but listen, this might just be my Lucas bias of them having the Fall Guy jelly bean eyes.
Yeah.
But like I don't
black
know.
ovals.
It's like it's so simple, but it fits the character and it gives this like look. Like I look like the different eye shapes, and honestly it goes along with the shape of their heads and how they design everything. There's like such like poised or scary or like strong looks, all based on just the head shape and eye shape alone, which is like everything mixes so well. Like I don't know, I actually honestly couldn't stop talking about how cool just the characters look. And then also visual style wise, I love the layered 3D picture book effect that the game has. Like they play really, whatever.
Where the background image scrolls at a different pace from the foreground, so it gives a sense of depth.
Yeah, it's so. I was gonna call it the Chowder effect, but yeah, sure. That's what I was thinking. Kind of like that, but yeah, no, honestly, exactly like that. Yeah, like the parallax. Is that what you said?
Yeah, parallax. Yep.
Definitely is rather moist.
That helps make the world seem so much cooler too. And
it really does.
Just to clarify, like this does have, it's 2D, but it does have those hard lines. And what's so cool about this is totally hand drawn. I don't know if you knew that.
Really? Yeah. I did not know that. Yeah. What?
Yeah, I'm sure it's
wild.
I'm sure they digitize it, but it's a hand drawn art style.
That's like they drew all wow. That's huge props. Holy shit.
Which is absolutely nuts because it's like cartoony, but it's a perfect balance of like adult and visually pleasing, and there's so much detail, but at the same time, like you said, the designs and like the character designs are so simple. Like how we talked about this when we were ranking famous protagonists. The design of the knight, it just feels so iconic. Because it's so simple. Really, it's just like almost like the stag beetle head with like the white head and like the husk, and you got like your dark body and your little cloak, and that's it.
Yeah, but it looks so good. But the cloak though, it's not even a cape; it's a cloak. That's why it's so fucking cool. Yeah. Listen, you slap a cloak on my boy, on anyone, and I'm gonna represent you.
That's what I love about that too, though, is that the design of the knight is fantastic in its own right. But that same amount of care and mix of detail and simplicity is in every single character design in this game.
For real.
There is not one design of any enemy, NPC, or a character where I look at it and I think, that's lazy. That's dumb.
Yeah, it doesn't belong. Yeah, like,
no.
It's crazy because it perfectly matches and makes them look. It makes the it makes the human bugs look so human and so bug at the same time. Like, I don't understand. Like, if you look at it just for the, like, if you look at it with the filter of your eyes of, like, these are bugs, it makes sense. But if you look at the filter of, like, these are characters with human emotions that you're connecting to, you can, like, see it coming out of them. It's like they did it. They did it so well.
So let's take the flip side, just for a compare. Let's take the flip side of it. Let's take a comparison. Let's look at the movie Ants. Those bugs look like shit. those compared to Hollow Knight, those bugs look like disgusting bugs, but they also look way too humanoid, and it's just horrible for both. Or even like a Bug's Life. Like a Bug's Life, they look like silly characters, but they also look stupid. Compared to this.
Yeah, I totally agree. They all, especially in Ants, they all look like fucking mannequins, and that's why I hate them. They all look disgusting. And even Hollow Knight is going for a mannequin theme when you think about the Void Vessel. They're literally going for like a mannequin theme almost, and I like that, but definitely not on Ants. Ants is disgusting.
You know, the designs of all the enemies, all the bosses, like the effect, and you know, the way that we're describing it, you'd think that it's hand drawn, it's 2D, there's thick lines. You'd think it's like overly simple cartoon, but they have so many cool effects and stuff. Like with the way that like darkness fades in, or like with the infection, like the little like the motion blur stuff that it leaves behind, and the way that the orange like radiates throughout the screen. It's like there's just much cool stuff going on there.
It's like, it's cool. Like you can like see almost like the humidity of areas when it's like very like gas, like gas coming out of like the pools of like toxic and like everything. Like they like it's like, again, like it's like from the filter of like a bug that has some sentience in it. To be honest, like some things almost don't feel like as detailed as they could be, but it's almost just like you're still not big enough brain is able to take in all of the information. Like, you know, like you focus in on more things as you get. Like it's so cool.
So what? Really what's your what score would you give it?
So like, I might just be like hopping on the train too hard, but like I kind of want to just give it a 10 again. Like I think honestly the visual style is so good. So what would I change? That's what I'm trying to think.
Well, that's what I want to hit you with a question here, because I'm hovering between the 9 and 10 range as well. And there's again, just like with the story, there's something holding me back that you might be able to sway me on, but I'm also not sure. It looks, I think everything in the game looks gorgeous and perfect in the way that it should be, but personal preference, I love very colorful games, and this game it does a fantastic job. And that's actually something that contributes to the world design, is that every single area, not only on the map but also in the area, it has its own unique color. Crystal Peak is like pink, the Abyss is black. The crossroads are like a bluish gray, and then they eventually get orange once it's infected. But even that being said, it's still not, there's not a lot of vibrant color throughout the game. And that's actually something that they had to address in one of the first updates to the game, is that when the first version came out on like Windows, with one of the first few DLC updates, they basically resaturated a lot of the colors to make it more poppy. And it's like, in my mind, I'm thinking, so maybe this game, maybe I'm stuck between thinking I wish there was a little bit more color, but also you're in an underground kingdom, so it makes sense that it's not crazy colorful.
I was gonna say, so I think that's the defense that I was gonna give. So like what I like about it a lot is when you think about the types of areas that they're describing, I think the colors match it super well. So like especially like the Queen's Garden with all of the overgrown vines and that really deep emeraldy forest green. Yeah. You know, I like that it's all the same theme, especially if it's just like, I feel like underground, you know, not as much light, therefore it has to be darker colors, except from solid, low, luminescent types of light sources, which gives still like a darker feel, I think, to things. Like I really like anything that like the fireflies, that glow kind of thing. It gives that low, bluish green, almost Tron-like color, which is really, really cool. And like I think all that makes sense to being underground that way. And then, you know, like it's because like especially the Crystal Peaks is really cool because the ones they chose with that like pinkish energy, they did a really good job at showing how that would like refract, I guess, like with everything being so pink.
Right, like the concept of being like, okay, underground area, bright glowing pink. You'd be like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but the way they use
it with like the rocks, it's just.
It looks like the inside of every Geode video you see on Facebook that your like mom shares. I guess my mom specifically, but like it's like cracking it open. Yeah. Like I guess not every mom's my mom. So, but yeah, like it's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. Like but you saying that though, I understand where you're coming from. I just feel like if they added more color, I think they'd be doing it only to the tune of adding color. Like it wouldn't enhance the feel of the game more. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
I guess that's how I feel about it.
So like, you give your score.
I'm gonna say are you going I'm gonna 0.5 it. I'm 9.5 in it.
I'm 9.5 in it as well.
Yeah, like literally I knew maybe 3 hours into this game that I knew I did not pick the top homework game because I knew I was like, wow, this game's gonna be so fucking awesome. Yeah. And it was like almost like I'm an opposing chef and this like other chef made this amazing cake and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to like this, but I'm still eating it. I'm like, you son of a fucking
You're
bitch.
Like scooping it off of your plate. You're just like, I'm like, fuck. You were the blue team on MasterChef when the red team had a superb filet mignon.
Dude, exactly. And my fucking tuna was raw. It was ridiculous.
Okay,
but so moving on to the tuna of this category or this game, segues are fun. Music. The music is literally, again, this is probably, if I had to pick one thing out of this entire game, which again I'm picking now with the top desserts of everything, of your favorite desserts, all of your favorite desserts, right at the very top, the best part about this goddamn grandma's apple pie of this game is the music, in my opinion, because it wraps everything together. It it gives you the eeriness of the story. It makes the visuals, in my opinion, like pop or feel just more connected. Like everything about the game, I derive, I think, it'll be from the music. Like when I'm senile and dying, and all I'm doing is spouting memes and video game references in my retirement home.
Old Ryan will be fun.
Like I literally will be passed out, and my fingers will just be slowly tapping to like the frickin' like Queen's Garden or like Greenhorn like track. Like literally, it like that's all. Like it'll just be in the back of my head as I slowly fade out of life. As morbid as that was, like that's how impactful the music was for me. That's what I'm getting at, anyways.
I can't even.
I literally can't even. Like that's
this is
how
one
good
of the best video game soundtracks I've ever heard. I think.
I agree.
And it was done by one guy.
By one dude. He's a genius.
Christopher Larkin. He's on Spotify. All of this whole soundtrack, all of the DLC soundtrack, and his other stuff. It's all on Spotify. Go listen.
Yeah. Oh my god. I highly recommend listening to the Grim Troop Nightmare.
Yes.
King Grim.
Well, so that's the thing. That's what I want to say about it. Is that
holy shit?
All of this music is fantastic. I don't think I can think of one song that I dislike even slightly. But there's such a wild range of music. You have the subtlest of atmospheric, just perfect area. It just gives you a sense of where you are. It's quiet, it's ominous, but it really makes you feel like where you are in this underground kingdom. And at the total opposite spectrum of that, you have the absolutely killer, heart-pounding like action boss fight music in this game.
Yeah, if you ever just wanted a 128-piece orchestra to be behind you while you play a game, telling you that like a boss is coming, like look no further.
And there's a lot of
killed it.
And there's a lot of like there are plenty of videos out there on YouTube. Like Ryan nor myself, I don't think either of us are like musical experts. Neither of us like are educated in music. But there are plenty of like video essays and studies out there about like the analysis of this music and like its use of leitmotif and like the way that they reuse specific instruments like piano to drive home certain themes in the sounds of the music. It's masterful.
I'm tone deaf as shit, but I super appreciate the music as well.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know a single thing about why music is good.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, me likey song noties for my ears. Like
Actually,
that's insane. He's literally playing musical Sudoku with my ears.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane.
And I mean, like, again, we're not musical experts, so we don't know
I
exactly
am literally the
what
farthest
we're talking
thing from
about,
it. Yeah.
But
at the same time, I will fight and I'll take anybody to court, any music expert to court if they think this soundtrack is bad. Like, and if the court is not enough, I challenge them to bloody combat. Oh my god.
All right, so I'm
honestly,
giving it a 10.
So yeah, I give it literally the most solid 10. I'm not even going to debate it. I was just trying to debate if I was going to break the numbers system.
Yeah.
An unnatural law and go to 11 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
So let's crank through. So next we have is the challenge and difficulty curve, which this could be the make or break for some people. So I would say, this game is definitely on the harder side overall, and from a global gamer perspective, the GGP of video games. I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10 in terms of a difficulty rating. Like it's not difficult to the point of like we're trying to be difficult, so fuck you kind of difficult, but it's challenging enough that even when you're comfortable with the game, when they release a new boss for you to fight, when they throw a new enemy at you, you have to respect it and take the time to figure out what the fuck am I doing against this guy.
Big time.
And I like that a lot personally. I would say my own personal difficulty curve, it went down fairly quick once I got used to the game. I think that just comes from me adapting to games. I think especially this game feels like Smash to me, which is really cool to like that. As a Smasher, that is probably one of the highest things you could ever say about anything, is that I get a Smash Bros feel from playing the game and doing the combat. So that being said, I feel like I got used to the adaptation of how bosses fight really quickly, because it felt like I was fighting another person across the screen in net play, which was phenomenal. So I think we would give it a 7.5 out of 10 as like my challenge difficulty curve. But I think of that in like the perfect. I think it was me personally. It wasn't too easy. It wasn't too difficult that it was mind-numbingly annoying. Yeah. Like even if I had to do something multiple times, and a couple bosses, I honestly had to fight them 30 to 40 times. Oh, yeah. Like a couple fights, especially some of the Dreamnail fights. And like, even though I got mad in the moment, I wasn't like, wow, this game is stupid, I'm done. Exactly. Like Summit 1G punching my webcam on stream or something. Yeah. I was just like, I'm gonna get this.
That's what I want to. You have that feeling of like, oh, I need. Even if you're so mad, you're just like, I need to get this guy.
Yeah. Oh my. But like, yeah, exactly.
I do. I think I feel similarly. I'm gonna give it an 8. I think
an 8.
Right around there, because like,
respect.
Like you said, even if the progression of it, I think it's hard to do with a game that's as open as this, because naturally you're going to hit spots where you're not supposed to be yet. But that's the thing about this game, is that there really isn't anywhere where you're not supposed to be.
Yeah,
there.
You
can still go
do
there,
that?
and if you can do it, you can still keep going. That's what's so wonderful about this, is that it opens up in such a wide and expansive way that really you are supposed to be able to get wherever you want at a certain point. As long as you can get there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as you get a bunch of charms, as you get a hang of the combat, as you get the soul attack upgrades, as you get more mask shards, basically just as you upgrade, as you get more nail upgrades and stuff like that, it gets a lot easier. But at the same time, the enemies in Deep Nest are much harder than the enemies in the Crossroads. Yeah. Like there is a good scale there. But I think the fact that it's not a linear game means that you're going to be encountering the different enemies on the scale. Like, say there's an enemy at level 2 difficulty, and then there's one at level 9 difficulty. You could hit the 2, then hit the 7, then hit the 5, then hit the 9, then hit the 4.
I agree. Yeah, I was gonna say the difficulty curve really will be different for everybody. Also, especially depending on what parts of games you're comfortable with. Like, you might be better at platforming than somebody who's better at fighting, and so
exactly.
some
and
areas
this game has
might
a
be
very solid, difficult mix of both.
very diverse mix of both.
Yeah.
Some fights you platform the entire time pretty much while fighting, like, and that's really respectable. So I totally agree. I think depending on, like, I remember one of the things that you were kind of surprised at was like how quickly I didn't give up doing the Mantis fight. And I just kept, and I ended up beating it without, you were like, wow, you didn't upgrade your nail. And I was like, oh, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about yet. But yeah, I killed these people.
Yeah.
And you were like, yeah, you usually like upgrading your nail is a good thing to do there. It would have made it easier. And I was like,
that's
all right,
actually,
well, now
the Mantis Lords fight, that's actually one of the first
Mantis Lords,
examples. One of the first examples of what I'm talking about, because that's before the world fully opens up. But that's one of the first spots where if you go over here and you realize, hey, these guys are blocking a part of the world that I can get to, you can beat them and get to that area early. Chances are, probably the average player who isn't used to the game yet will be like, this is way too fucking hard. I need to come back. But if you persevere enough, you can beat them and you can get down there early. And then you can get to the Mantis City or whatever and get the Mantis Claw. And then you have the wall jump ability, and then that opens up like so much more. The thing about this game is that, like, you said this before, in that there are some spots where the spike is exponential. Like some of the Dream Warrior fights, like the Path of Pain and the White Palace, like that's crazy hard platforming. But
yeah, very hard platforming.
None of it feels unfair.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, I actually, that really is probably what was one of my favorite parts. Like, that challenge was so fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so fun.
And that's the thing too, is that like it's not, to make a direct comparison to the other homework game, Final Fantasy Tactics, there were a couple times, like I told you with that Gafgarian fight, where I got there, I tried it a bunch of times, I died so many times, and I was at a point where I was like, I can't do this yet. And the solution to that problem was exit, grind a crap ton, and then come back and try again. In this game, that is never, you don't have to do that. It's not like I need to go slog away so that I can try it again. You can just go explore a completely different part of the world. You could ignore that entirely. There is never a section of the game, except for like maybe if there's maybe the fight with Uma before the second Dreamer, or the fights with the Knights, those big round bouncing Knights before the first Watcher. Yeah. There are very few required fights in the game. There's never really a spot where that's the only path forward. You have to go through that, even if you're not ready. And if you're not ready and you still want to come back to it, there's so many solutions for you to get around that problem.
And all of a sudden, like, just getting one upgrade sometimes can help ease the difficulty of a huge chunk of what you were stuck on, which unlocks so much more. Like, it's cool. It like has like this cool like mini roller coaster effect. You know what I mean? Like, it goes up and then there's a little bit of down, and like, so it's cool that it waves like that.
So 8 for me, 7.5 for you.
So next we have is going to be the level of immersion. So I think this is where, again, we kind of talked about this a little bit. We kind of keyed in with how the story works. This game it's one of those things where I think personally, this is actually one of the games that I think helps it a lot. And I think it's the reason why the community is so big and knit together is because a lot of people, I think, you need to tell them, like, hey, just keep playing this game for a little bit. And not that it's a bad thing, not that you can't get into it without knowing anything about it. I guarantee you can. Guarantee it, no matter what. But it's, like we were saying before, you don't really know what you're doing. It becomes more of like, this is a bug-themed boss fighting type game. Like, I'm just going to run around, fight some enemies as a bug. And then once you start, but the thing is, once you find some mystery behind what's going on, all of a sudden, you are hooked, and you just want to keep playing the game, and then you don't stop talking about it on a podcast for forever.
Exactly.
And that's what it does.
For sure. This was your homework game, so you should go first. But I'm going to go first. I'm going to give this a 10. This is incredibly the level of immersion for this game. I basically put this category because I just wanted to talk about how goddamn immersive this game was. It's that's the style. That's sort of a thing of Metroidvanias, is that sometimes you're not given an explicit direction and you're just kind of set off on some tracks and it's just, hey, go explore. This game is the epitome of that, because even in the first few hours of the playthrough, when I didn't know what I was doing, I was just so fascinated with the concept of like, let me explore this area. There's so much more that I can explore. Oh, what's this little tidbit? Oh, what's this NPC? Oh, look, I finally got the map. That's fantastic. Oh, and then it's like, oh, okay, but there's some other areas. Should I go to this area yet? Should I just dive in? And it basically becomes a game of getting lost. And that's that's
the definition of immersion.
Exactly.
Is getting lost into the game.
That feeds into the immersion so much, is because if that's literally the concept of the gameplay, is like, hey, get yourself into these area, get lost, go explore, and then eventually find a map and then keep doing it. If the concept of the game is that, inevitably, as long as you're not having a bad time, you are going to get lost in the gameplay, because you are going to get lost in the world of, you're going to get lost in the kingdom of Hallownest, and that's exactly what I did.
And that's exactly, and it's exactly how they intend it, and I totally agree. So I agree. I'm giving it a 10 out of 10, mostly because this is a good segue into the next section we have, which is pacing. I was almost going to give immersion a 9 because of how the beginning of the game works, where you don't know. It's hard to get immersed because you don't know. That being said, though, I think the level of immersion is the deepest level of immersion, if that makes sense. Like how far you can get committed to the game, and I think it's very easy to say that you can get fully 10 out of 10 committed. It's not like it's not us being biased that we like the game so much. Like, genuinely, I can almost guarantee you're going to get totally hooked and sucked into the game.
Well, related to, because I know where we're both going to get with the pacing aspect. It's a little slow in the beginning, but even in those first few hours of gameplay, I was still completely immersed, because I was, in my mind, I was still like, what's this about? Like, what am I doing here? And that, there is a level of separation, because it's kind of like you're questioning it, but at the same time, in a way, that reflects what you as a character are doing, because that's part of the game. You just show up at this town, and the elder is like, this used to be bustling, but like, everyone's gone and dead now, and there's a whole kingdom underneath us. And then you just go underneath, and you just start exploring. You don't have that's the whole point. Like, you don't have a direction as a player, but you also don't really have a direction as a character in the game. So I think
there's no Navi to say, hey, listen.
I think you're even though like you don't really know what you're doing, you're still on the exact same level as the knight, and I think that just already feeds into the immersion. But
that's fair. Okay, I can see that.
Like you said, moving on to the pacing, it's because of that, it's a little bit slow to start.
Yeah, and so I think personally, like, this is one of those categories for pacing that, much like the difficulty curve, this could theoretically differ for every person that plays the game, because depending on what you get stuck at will determine the pacing of how, if you end up really liking the game, you might just cruise through stuff and it just feels like it's challenging at the right moment, stuff like that. If something becomes too challenging, you might feel that the game is too annoying, maybe due to the hardness, which would affect your level of pacing. But what I don't want to give the pacing a 10 out of 10, because obviously that's a biased opinion, but I think overall how the game works, it's almost like I don't want to give pacing a rating. I just want to give it a rank almost. Like, I want to say it's like an S level type of pacing, because it, I don't want the game to be pattern based in terms of pacing. Like, I don't want it to be 2 zones, then a boss fight, 2 zones, then a boss fight, item upgrade. Like, it spirals into anything that you want it to be, which is also cool, because a lot of games that have good pacing are horrible to replay, because the pacing. If it's a set pacing like that, you're like, all right, I'm getting this part of the game. Okay, I'm getting this part of the game. And there is that in Hollow Knight, because if you know what's happening, then you can know some things. But regardless, I could on purpose, all right, I'm going to do Hollow Knight this way this time. All right, cool. I'm now going to try to doing this first, and then this, and then because it's going to be harder, I'm going to do this next. And and again, you make your own pacing, which is like, that is super cool. And I like, that's why I like saying it's a 7 out of 10 for pacing, because some parts could stop you feels unfair to it. Like, it really, but like also 10 out of 10 doesn't sound right, because if it's too hard, like I don't know, like I don't know what number to give it. Well, like, that's why I want to give it almost like an X out of 10. I don't know,
a triangle out of 10. So exactly. Like this, you touched on something that I was gonna say, and that's totally true, and that's completely the way that they intended it, is that once you get to a certain point, the world is your oyster. You can take it as fast or as slow as you want it to. And the point that we're talking about is once you get the dream nail, once you get all of the dreamers marked on your maps, you can just go straight there. You can just look at your map, see, okay, there's a dreamer over here. I need to get over there, and you just problem solve and dive until you get right there, kill that dreamer. All right, I'm going to the next one. But there is so much more that this world has to offer that you really make your own pace once you get to that part of the game, because it's like there are only 3 dreamers, and the direct paths to each dreamers, if you know what you're doing, won't take you that long, especially if you're very familiar with this game. But with how expansive the entire overworld is, and with how many upgrades there are, the different nail smiths and stuff like that, there's just so much that the game has to offer that if you're playing the game, at least for me, you're not supposed to play this game being like, all right, I just beat this watcher, let me go kill this one right away. You're supposed to explore the world at your leisure. And that's
and you eventually collide into the right things to do.
Exactly. And that's what I love about some games like that, is that it gives you the freedom of being like, yeah, you could continue the story if you go to this point on your map, or you could just go explore and do some other stuff, maybe get some extra goodies, maybe work on some other stuff that's going to factor in later. And, Hollow Knight is basically built off of that. It's basically built off of, these are your objectives, but you don't have to go there yet. You can do some other stuff.
It's a very loose list of requirements. Yeah. It's like, do this if you want to.
Exactly.
Eventually you'll want to. It's like, eventually you'll want to.
You're going to have to eventually, but you don't have to right now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
So I think I would give it an 8 out of 10, actually. Because...
Okay, I'm honestly going to mimic you with that. I can totally agree.
I think it's the slow start that's kind of just, especially for players that, like, I could see someone picking this game up based on hearing praise from it or thinking that it looks cool and being like, hey, I want to play this. And then they're 5 hours in and they've died so many times. Maybe they're not the best at video games and they've died so many times and they have not gotten any inkling of what this game is supposed to be about, and I could see them getting frustrated and being like, you know what, I'm not sure I want to keep going with this. And I think that is a detriment to this game. Like, the beginning of it is definitely guided to a certain extent, and it opens up once you get to the City of Tears and once you get the Dream Nail and stuff like that. But getting to that point, it's like that guided stretch where I do kind of feel like if you're not already fully in for the ride, and if you're kind of hoping for the game to hook you at the start, it might not do that.
Yeah, but also, listen, do we really want Zotes playing this game, or do we want Knights playing this game?
Yes, exactly.
That's all I'm going to say. Listen, if you're going to bitch out, you're just a stupid Zote, That's all I'm going to say. And you'll know. Anyone that played Hollow Knight, you're shaking your head right now in your car, and I got you, dude. You don't want Zotes. Get the Zotes out of your life. No one wants Zotes.
All right, let's keep going.
So next is going to be the compelling factor. It keeps your attention, keeps you playing. I think honestly, like the level of immersion. Honestly, this game, like the only thing that didn't, the only thing for me personally, again, kind of like what you said about being the homework game, was like, maybe it's just the word homework. It's just a toxic taste in my mouth. There's just be times where I didn't want to play it, almost because it was like I need to play it, which sounds very weird to say.
I know,
but like,
I know exactly.
I think aside from the fact that I also had to space it out on purpose, like there was times where I didn't want to get so far to, for the sake of the homework game, to build it at a right level. I had to kind of choose keeping my attention. I had to limit it and budget it, let's say. So like it's a little bit harder for me, but I would say like full, just let loose, just go at it, little Jimmy. Like you just open the back gate and he just runs free.
Yeah.
Like I honestly am going to say 10 out of 10 again.
Wow.
Like I feel like IGN right now.
Even
I feel like
with the
IGN
homework
like.
game.
Like, yeah, because I think anyone that plays this game is not going to play it as a homework game. I don't expect you to. So I think personally, you're just going to let loose. Like, I'm just your little gerbil science experiment, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm giving Corey the Nobel Peace Prize in homework games today. I'm the little white rat named Albert that with the red eyes that just like got the cheese in 2 seconds. Like, he is like, guys, he was hooked. He was hooked.
The maze worked.
Yeah, the maze worked. So honestly, yeah, I like literally am like resting on the laurels of how good this game is. Like, I literally got sucked in so bad.
I'm gonna give it a 9. I think this totally factors into both level of immersion and pacing. I do think, for me personally, like, I've only fully played through this game once, but that one playthrough I did a lot of stuff. I have it at like, it's either 108% or like 112% or something.
That's really close to full.
I did a bunch of crap, and it's all because I wanted to. Because once I started playing this game, I was just itching to play more Hollow Knight. I can vividly remember, like, I played this a few years ago, and like, I remember coming home from work, and like, if Kim was still working or if she wasn't home yet or something, I would just like go upstairs, get my setup ready, play some Hollow Knight. And I would
start playing. Play a little bit.
Get lost.
If you need to, play a lot.
And this is the type of game where it's like, I'll play the game, and then at a certain point, I'll be like, all right, how long have I been playing for? It's probably been like 30 minutes, right? I look over, it's been like 2.5 hours, and I'm like, oh my god, like, what have I been doing this whole time? And it's just, this game just keeps you, if you're interested in the lore of this, or if you're interested in the structure of unlocking areas based on, you know, the Metroidvania style of exploration, where you the amount that you're able to get to is based off of what abilities you have, and maybe if you can beat certain enemies and stuff like that. If you're into that, or if you're into the lore, you're going to want to keep playing this game. The only reason I dock at a point is I can see 2 scenarios where you might think I don't really want to keep playing. One would be if you're a little too this is mainly for people that are playing it early on in that first maybe 10 hours or so. If you haven't gotten to the City of Tears yet and you still don't know what the game is about, I could see someone getting a little too lost and being like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, so you might not want to pick it up if you know that you're going to pick it up and just continue to be lost in a frustrating way. I can see why that could frustrate some people. Personally, it just drives me to, you know, keep exploring, but I could see why that would frustrate some people. The other thing is if you're stuck on a particularly difficult boss. I could see someone, like, because this is definitely the kind of game where you could fight a boss 20 times and still not beat it, and then have to stop playing. And then, you know, the next time you start playing, you're like, oh, I gotta friggin' keep fighting that boss. I gotta keep losing to that boss. So I can see why someone might not want to pick it right back up. But for me, 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying with that. But, you know, again, back to the Zotes. Don't be a Zote. Just keep plot through, man. So, well, this last category is always kind of a quick one to talk about, but the replayability, I think, again, we've kind of like hit on little notes about this category already. This game, I would say, is an easy, I guess, maybe because it's not like a purposeful run type game. I don't want to give it like I would say like a roguelite, like a Hades game or a Gungeon game is a pure 10 out of 10 replayability. You just keep replaying it. That's the game. Yeah. Like Hollow Knight, I would say, I want to give it like an 8.5 out of 10. I think is like the number I'm thinking in my head. Like hands down, it is totally worth playing over and over again. But I would say in the realm of infinite replaying, it's on the lower scale of like maybe, I would say like 4 times. After 4 times of playing it, you would have done the majority of the base routes where like it's gonna feel very rehearsed and well practiced for you, and you can still appreciate that hands down no matter what. But I think in the category of replayability, there's those, you know, Enter the Gungeon, Hades type games where it's always random all the time, and that's like the point of it. So like I think in the respect of the replay category, 8.5. That's my 10 talk.
That's fair. I'm gonna go higher than that. I think I'm gonna go 9.5.
Ooh,
I'm not like you're saying. Wow. It's not designed like you're saying. There are games like Hades, roguelikes, random generating games. Those are meant to be replayable because that's the whole point. Is that it is different every time. I think this is literally the step right below that, because everything in the game is fixed. And I'm gonna see if I can try and maybe sway you to bump up a little bit, because this game,
you're offended.
The only section of the game that is truly guided is the section between the beginning and when you get the dream nail. From there, everything else is literally, you can go for whichever dreamer you want in any order. And in a game like Breath of the Wild, that's kind of the point, is that you're supposed to, you have to get to the 4 divine beasts. Well, you don't even have to do that. You can just go straight to Hyrule Castle. But the point is, you're supposed to go to the 4 divine beasts, and you can get to them in any order. It's going to be more difficult to get to certain ones first, but you can completely go to the farthest one say you can get to Vana Boris first. You could do Vana Boris first, and then you can do the easiest one last. And at that point, especially once you know the game, it's completely up to you. And that's the kind of thing where, like, the more intimate you are with the game, the more you can start to give yourself little challenges. And you actually touched on this earlier. You can be like, all right, last time I did Lurien the Watcher, Manamon the Teacher, Hera the Beast. This time I'm going to do Hera the Beast, Lurien the Watcher, Manamon the Teacher. And that's just for the 3 dreamers.
I guess you're right. I kind of did touch on that.
Well, that's the way they design this game, is that the world opens up to you intentionally in a way that you can go pretty much wherever you want, as long as you have the appropriate ability. And the way that the world is designed, that all of these areas are connected to at least 2 different areas, you can explore the path that you're going to take to explore. There are going to be so many different, I know you're saying like maybe 4 playthroughs you're going to find all the routes. I don't think that's the case, because once you get to the City of Tears, you have so many options at your disposal, and because the areas are connected together in such a way that there are so many different exits and entrances and secret exits and entrances to those areas, that you can do them in a totally different order every time. And that's also not including if you give yourself extra challenges. Like this game actually has a randomizer, and people have been,
I was going to actually touch on that. I was going to say that actually something I've been watching is some randomizer streams, which is super cool.
Also, well, that's the thing about Metroidvanias, is that once you're intimately familiar with it, you know what power-ups you need to get to certain, like say, Howling Cliffs. That's the one in the top right.
Okay,
right?
Yep.
You need I can't remember the name. You need the double jump to get there.
Yeah,
you need the double jump to get up there. Once you know you need the double jump to get up there, that's set in stone. You're not going to get there until you get the double jump. But if you're playing a randomizer, the point at which you're getting the double jump is going to be completely different. So once you get the double, this is something, if you are intimately familiar with the game, and this is the natural instinct of people that are super into Metroidvanias, is that once you get that from whatever area, you're thinking, I can go to Howling Cliffs. I can go to that area. There's a little switch that goes on in your brain thinking, oh, I can go over there. So especially, I just think, I mean, it's kind of cheating to say that randomizers enhance the replayability of a game. But I more mean to say that randomizers were almost built for Metroidvanias. Because the game itself inherently is, once I have this item, switch flips on, I can go to this area. But if the place at which that power-up you're getting is changing, it's going to change the way that you explore the world every single time.
Okay. I changed mine to 9.
Also speedrunning.
I can... So you're right. Honestly, the randomizer thing totally fed me into that, because that is one of the coolest things about modern games now too, is some of the little extra things that the community can change to it too. But yeah, honestly, that does make it really, that could make the game so different feeling but just with the Hollow Knight aesthetic. It obviously is Hollow Knight still.
Yeah.
Like, which, so that actually, that's a good point. That's a super good point. So actually, that actually did bump it up for me.
Like, if you...
I could easily...
it is kind of cheating, but, like, to make a direct comparison to try and drive home the point I'm making at is, like, you can play Super Mario Bros. 3 randomizer, where maybe, like, the levels are random, or, like, the enemies and level layouts are random. That's obviously going to make it different every time, but it's not going to enhance the replayability as much as something that's going to affect your traversal of the world. Because you're still going from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. It's just that those levels that you're going to be playing through are going to be different. Whereas in a Metroidvania, the world's going to be the same. The way that you traverse it is going to be different, you know?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying with that, because that'll make it feel like going through like a totally different pathway to unlock something. It's just going to make it feel so different. It's like, it's kind of like how it's like driving home or driving at night. The daytime looks so different when you go to the same street in the daytime. It's like, it makes it just feel totally different. And I can see it like that would enhance the replay for me. Yeah. So I guess, with the last categories is our playthrough experience. So, just for some, like without a doubt, I would say the most fun parts of the game for me was the most challenging parts. So the Grim Troop fight, again, honestly, is probably one of my favorite fights now in a single player game. Mm-hmm. That fight I'm definitely going to just do for fun probably soon, because it was actually really, really fun to try. The Coliseum of Fools and the White Palace, all those three were the top 3 parts for me, which I feel like is probably the same for a lot of people, but those, like, I love me some Kingdom Hearts-esque fight all these enemies and do it in a row type cup things, which is what the Coliseum of Fools is. I love me some platforming. It's crazy platforming like White Palace was so awesome. And it does this cool thing of like, the game's almost like, all right, we know this is a game. We're going to challenge you for the sake of a game, and they still put it into the game as a story, which is really, really good too.
It's still so like, that's what's crazy about it, is that at its core, the White Palace and the Path of Pain, that's just a video game platforming challenge, but it still fits in the game world to a T, like with the purpose of it too. Like,
yeah, and like, so it really, for like honestly, like for a 2D game, I literally will not. I can't imagine me not recommending this to any of my friends now. Like, if anyone, almost ever, if somebody said, hey, what's a 2D game I could play? Without a doubt, I'm going to say Hollow Knight is one of my, if it's not my first pick right now, it's one of my top picks. Every time.
Good.
And I'll probably say for a very long time. Like, I don't know what's going to beat me without me saying, like, oh, Hollow Knight would be great. Like, as I'm just going on with things. Like, it's going to be something I'm going to bring up every time.
I'm glad.
And like, something that I also like, that was like that is cool is like the little mini storylines that, like have different ways to complete it or different choices. God, yeah. And some of them I didn't even end up finish doing, like the Grim Troop, the fucking bank bitch that stole my money. And so, I actually didn't finish doing that. I didn't
find him?
Didn't find him. No,
oh
no idea.
God.
No,
dude.
And the last thing I have to say, I'm so sorry to. I kind of know what happens, but I didn't actually end up doing it because I just saw it through Mossbag, was the White Flower. Didn't do White Flower, actually.
That's fair.
That's totally hard. Forgot to do it. Yeah, apparently it is hard. I looked that up. Apparently it's very hard. But yeah, like I think I had a very enjoyable experience with the game. I think, honestly, I can't imagine me being like, oh, this game's like overrated now. Like I don't think I'm going to grow out of this game either, if that makes sense. Like, I think it's nice because it's definitely new enough that even when this game becomes 10, 15 years old, it's a complete game. It's like a game that, like, where like some of my nostalgic GameCube games might not feel so complete now that I'm older and wiser and more known of games. But like Hollow Knight, I would say even when I'm 50, dude, I could easily see myself just like playing it, and then like the nostalgia of the music crashes into me. And I feel 24, 25 again. Like, that'll be crazy. I don't really want to talk about that. Like, I feel like it's like actually messing with me on a psychological level. But I'm ready. I'm ready to remember this moment too. That's how powerful it'll be.
I know exactly what you mean. Like this, I don't think I put this game in my top 5 in the first episode of this show, but we definitely talked about it. And
I'm happy you said that. This, if we redid our top 10 games, this is booting one of my games on the very bottom. Like,
wow.
I kind of want to.
Is that powerful though?
It's like genuinely that good. So I would say the only in a platforming action sense, I think out of bias, I still like the Jak and Daxter series more. But this game
fair.
for me,
that's what it came down to for me too.
Yeah, yep. This game for me beats the Spyro universe, Crash universe, and it beats Ratchet and Clank to me in terms of like that type of. Even though those games are more 3D, which is a little unfair to say to Hollow Knight, I would put this game above those, especially when Silksong comes out and there's another one to play. Dude, it's like that might boost it past Jak and Daxter for me. I have no idea. Like the world is Hollow Knight's oyster. I'm like literally I'm signed up. Like I'm ready. I'm ready for Silksong.
I'm so ready.
That game is going to be a hell of a game to play. I cannot wait.
Well, I'm so glad that it hit home
and I'm gonna raise
so much because someone recommended me this game in like the comments section of a random daily debate on Zelda Dungeon. And like I had seen Hollow Knight and I was like, that looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll check it out sometime. And like literally someone in the comments, I said like, they mentioned Hollow Knight and I was like, oh, Hollow Knight, is that good? Should I check it out? And they were just like, yes, get it, play it. And I was God. This was very early on in my days of like, because now, you know, I like to play quite a few different indie games just to kind of see, you know, what the deal is. And this was very early on in my days of that. And I was kind of just like, you know what? I'm going to buy it and I'm going to try it out and I'm going to see. And I
just see what happens. Toss the dice.
It was just like the steepest slide. Like once I got over that one tiny little stall moment where you're like, what's this game about? And then straight down the rabbit hole of looking up, watching hours of YouTube content, watching Mossbag, like scrolling through pages of the wiki about like the lore and stuff. And I still feel like there's plenty in the game that I feel like I haven't fully absorbed. It's just, this game is like a masterclass in world building and in exploration, and that's really just what I love in video games. And that's why mainly it was like the thematics of it I thought would really reminded me of you, because I was like, I think Ryan would really dig this, like the darkness and like the bug characters and like the edginess.
Perfect. It is but
I'm very
the story.
Yeah.
No, keep going. Sorry, keep going. I want to talk about it.
I'm just very glad that you loved it, because I wasn't sure how you were gonna feel about it as a game, because I don't think you have a ton of experience with Metroidvanias like myself, do you?
Not nearly as. No, this would be my first full, like, I actually full completed. Well, like, this type of game.
That's what I mean. That was the exact same with me. This was my first Metroidvania. I had never played a Metroid game before. I
don't have anything. I had nothing to work off of.
Exactly. And now I'm curious what you think about it, because like this is kind of like what you said with Final Fantasy Tactics. You said you weren't expecting it to like spark some love of tactical RPGs, and I wasn't expecting this to spark some love in Metroidvanias for you or even myself. But since I've played this game, it has. Like, since I played this game, I played Super Metroid, I bought Ori and the Blind Forest, which I love, I played through Blue Fire recently, that was really cool. And I recently
that game looked really cool.
Got, now, whenever I have time, I'm going to play through Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is the game that coined the term Metroidvania. So I'm ready to full dive into this genre. I think this is going to become like one of my new favorite genres of video game.
So I've always had like Metroidvania was like the one flavor of ice cream of platformers that I just never touched until now. Yeah. And now I could like I think it's one of those things for me. Like I could easily, if somebody recommended me a Metroidvania game now, it's almost like I'll take it more seriously, if that makes sense. Like it's not like I didn't think it wasn't a good game. I just never saw myself being like, I'm gonna go play this game right now. And after Hollow Knight, definitely at the very least, a Hollow Knight. Like I think one of the I think you picked this really well, because what I loved the most about Hollow Knight was the combat music and how this, like, you actually, the story you hit perfectly. Like, you were totally right. 100%. Story is so fucking cool. Characters so fucking cool. Bosses, everything. So cool. I absolutely loved the story and the themes they were hinting at. Like, you know, but yeah, I like it again. 100% this is in my top 10 games, because a lot of times with my top 10s of things, I like to have diversity in terms of like good games I want to put on there. Like, I don't want to put, like, you know, I love Japanese RPG shit. I don't want to put 10 Japanese RPGs on my top 10. It's kind of bullshit. Like, you know, exactly. Like, because there's such good games in so many categories. This now is definitely the pinnacle of 2D Metroidvania, period. This is my standard. Yep. This is like the seal. Exactly. This is the Halo seal. Like does this come up to par, or at least is acceptable to the Hollow Knight standard that I'm used to? Bar. Or it literally is. And the bar is fucking high, dude. It's insane.
I feel that. So
so to complete it, to give a rank to this game, like, again, it's an S tier game to me. 100%. Like, it's a game I will remember forever. It sounds bad. I would be shocked if the next game you recommend to me beats Hollow Knight. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, that is like, it like literally now is in a crystalline glass case. The very top of my trophies was like, played Hollow Knight. Like, that's like now like a core memory if we're talking about Inside Out. Okay, like now like it's part of me. Like, and so like it's literally it's an S tier game.
Some high
like,
praise.
I'm hitting it with the S. I recommend it to anyone that likes games. if you have two hands, two palms that can grip the sides of a controller, okay, play the game. Just play it. Stop listening to this. Pause this game and buy it on Steam.
Now I feel bad, because now I feel like, what if people play it and they're like, I don't like it.
I think you're wrong. You're a Zote. Again, going back to the Zote comment, I don't like if you. There are people that play Hollow Knight. There are people that like Hollow Knight, and then there are dirty liars. Okay, we're taking the peeing in the shower thing. You literally like Hollow Knight, or you're a liar because you don't want to follow the new age Radiance wave that is liking Hollow Knight. Okay, that's what it is. Hollow Knight is the Radiance light,
it is.
And I'm just a mindless bug.
Yeah, we're just mindless bugs. Suck too.
Yeah, I'm sucked, dude. I'm literally
it's S tier for me too. It's just top tier game.
Every time we talk about this game, in my head I go, "You're an indie company. How did 3 people make this?" Right? Like, that's what every time. So it's, you know, it's like, how did you cook this? How did you mimic this
Kickstarter
perfectly?
Video game.
It's like that's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's so comforting, since now video games are corporation this making FIFA 25,000. You know, spend some money on a simulator. Like, so many games are like that nowadays. And this game is just like, we are going, like, this is why video games are amazing. This is exactly why.
Well, it's just such a positive thing to see that, like, there are people out there that care about video games so much that are making
quality video games that are this high, this top notch, that are just doing it just because they love it. And that was something. It was like an interview or something, or a video about an interview that Team Cherry did that I was watching recently, that they said part of their design philosophy for this game was that if they liked it, they put it in the game, no matter how far off the beaten path of the main game it was, no matter if any player would just skip completely over it, they put it in there.
That's so respectable.
It didn't matter if the average player of the game saw everything they put in the game, as long as it was in there. That's so cool.
So like it's like they just cared about it being a completed piece of art.
Exactly.
Than what, like, and then it being like, we could do this to make it better to the modern public, but I'd rather risk it and just make something pure and a totally original creative piece of art. And that's literally what it is. It's just that good.
Let's cap the Hollow Knight conversation then. We'll end it with that.
Yeah, I think that's all I gotta say. Buy it.
All right.
Buy it.
So guys, that concludes the homework game for season 1.
We're done.
What we're gonna do is, when we come back before season 2 starts, we're going to do a little mini episode where we're going to do some updates. We're going to talk about what you can look forward to seeing for Season 2. And most importantly, we are going to reveal the next homework games that we have chosen for each other for Season 2.
Yes, very excited. I'm coming back with a vengeance. I'm going to win this one.
This was not supposed to be a competition, Ryan.
Everything's a competition. How many times have I said PvP in our podcast? At least probably twice a podcast. So listen, everything's a competition. And I graciously lost. I'm okay with losing on this one. But I'm coming back. I want a game that's gonna crash into your top 10. Like, right. I want something that makes you forget about Pokemon. Like, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can accomplish that, but I'm gonna certainly try.
You can try.
Certainly try. I'm gonna try to unlock a whole aspect of your hidden character, your hidden soul.
Yeah, there's some chunk of my soul that just has not illuminated yet, and I'm just gonna have an epiphany.
Yeah, like, I am literally going to you're like one of your eyes is gonna change color. It's so cool. Like you're just gonna have an anime level transformation, like Sailor Moon, and your life is changed with how good this recommendation will be. So now you guys can all be disappointed.
You're hyping it up.
Wrong. I'm hyping it up a lot. I do that, but that's what's important.
So. All right, guys. Well, this is it.
It's been a pleasure.
We're at the end of season 1. Thank you guys so much. All of the fans that we have that do listen regularly. You guys are the best people in the world. Thank you so much for listening to this, and thank you to all of the new people who might just be checking out an episode or two. You know, we love doing this, and we just want to make it. We just want to make sure that it keeps growing so that it'll get bigger and we can just make it bigger and better for you guys.
This has been such a cool experience. And honestly, I want to give a personal huge shout out to you specifically, Corey. Because this is, guys, just so you, I think I said this before, but so you guys don't know, this is Corey's love child of an idea. We've been friends forever. He hit me up saying, do you want to do a podcast? I'd love to do a podcast with you. And I instantly loved the idea. And honestly, this would not be nearly as good as it is if it wasn't for Corey doing the editing, thinking of so many ideas for me, obviously for us, but for me too. Like, I'm trying to get a lot better about it. I need to be an adult. I need to work on doing things in adult fashion. But like, Corey has picked up so much slack on my behalf. He's rescheduled me a bunch of times when things don't work out for me to do these episodes. He's done so much to make this work. And I cannot appreciate it enough. Like, looking into your soul, I cannot appreciate it enough. So like, seriously, huge shout out to Corey, to everything he's done. Like, if you guys like this, please thank Corey more than anything. Like, I'm happy that I could put my input. I'm happy that I could put my seal and soul into this as well. But none of this would be here if it wasn't for you.
You're embarrassing me, Ryan. No, but
I'm sorry. I'll make you red in the face.
Thank you so much. But you're not giving yourself enough credit, because this show, no matter how much editing I do or how many ideas I come up with, like this show would not be the same if it wasn't the both of us loving doing it. And the dynamic that we have,
you are the team cherry of this right now. So that's all I'm saying.
We are the team cherry of the Player Power Podcast.
You're right. We are the team cherry of Player Power Podcast.
All right.
But like, seriously, guys, and again, to you guys, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Again, it's cool that people have stuck around with us. I think that's the neatest thing, and I can't wait to make this better.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't wait for this to be I can't wait for people to say, oh man, where were they when they were the old season 1? Like, I don't even care. Yeah. I want to change enough that somebody says that. That would actually be the coolest, weird, slight slap of the year. I'd be like, whoa.
Well, yeah, so
I can't wait for that, guys.
Why don't we round off this episode with our regular wrap up? Ryan, where can they find you at?
So, guys, once again, feel free. You can follow me on a lot of social media: Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch at ShadowHawkSSB. So again, Hawk with an E at the end, SSB for Super Smash Bros. I have now finally been streaming more again. My internet has been crap. I don't even want to get into that today because it's been infuriating. But I have been actually being able to stream again. So definitely, guys want to see some Super Smash Bros. Content. When Silk Song comes out, I am going to stream the crap out of that. I won't be able to even dedicate it as a stream game because I'm going to play it way too much, but I will be streaming the crap out of it. I'm definitely going to challenge Corey to a race at some point. Yeah. It's going to be really funny. But yeah, guys, again, follow me on Shadowhawk SSB. Follow me on Twitch. Most importantly, Twitch and Twitter, my two big ones. That's what I pray for. So thank you, guys.
All right. And then
where can we find you?
You can follow me at Corey Richmond on Twitter, at Corey Richmond6 on Instagram. And most importantly, I've been saying this all season, you can follow us collectively as the Player Power Podcast at Player Power Pod on Twitter. And I want to ask you guys a favor. If you've gotten to the end of this monster of an episode, this season finale, if you are a fan of the show, even if you just like an episode or two,
if you're hearing this, please, pretty please, with a cherry on top, give us a follow or share this with a friend. Because we just want to make sure that this podcast keeps growing. We just want to keep getting listens so that we can make the best podcast, the most enjoyable content for you guys to listen to. Because we're just two jamokes talking about video games, but we love doing it. So if you love listening to it, please share it with a friend. Also, on the flip side of that, I'm dead serious. If there's something you don't like, if we're annoying little shits, let us know. Please give us any constructive criticism, any feedback, any compliments, anything at all. Add us on Twitter or send us a DM or email us at, I think it's playerpowerpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out.
Yeah, let us know. Let us. We don't want to do more work. Tell us what to do, and we'll just do it. It's perfect.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening.
This is long-winded. We got this. It's done now. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.